I'm Elzu Bigbridge reporting live from the Axon Head Woods for the 103rd Annual Artificers Conference, where the best and brightest inventors, tinkerers, and thaumatechnical gadgeteers from across the Kingdom of Alçon are gathered to share ideas, compare notes, and cross-pollinate. I am joined by my lovely associate, Kelney Briskbell. It's cold out here. You could say it's as brisk as a bell.
Elzu, don't. Just... Temperatures are low, but spirits are high as researchers gather in the arena clearing behind our booth. As you can see, we are also surrounded by the colorful tents, stalls, and booths of conference attendees eager to show off their latest inventions and projects. The theme of this year's conference is, of course, biomagical augmentation, and I hear there's a special keynote speaker in store.
Ooh, but before we get to that, Kelney, it looks like there's something happening in the arena behind us. Could we get a bead on that? And on that, we see a glowing orb floating in front of the booth of two halfling announcers. The orb swivels and shoots into the air, and from this bird's eye view, we see the sprawling Axon Head Woods, miles and miles of tangled forest, a veritable sea of green. And dotted throughout the woods, we see colorful bunting, streamers, and the tops of various tents and booths from the conference. The orb now shoots down and zooms into a clearing behind the announcers, where an excitable crowd of gnomes, halflings, and humans alike gather behind a perimeter fence, swaddled in autumnal leathers. And in the middle of this clearing, we see Dr. Bonnydock. Please describe yourself.
Hello there. I am Dr. Lamond Bonnydock, a 28-year-old gnome, not quite from around here, originally from the town of Goodbody. And, well, I've been traveling the various lands, not just this land, looking, well, maybe it's not best not to get into that right now, but I'm here very interested to hear about this speaker. I'm an inventor, you see. Well, really more of a mixed inventor, biomagical augmentator, really. So the topic of this conference is very interesting to me on a number of levels. And I'm generally keeping my head down as much as possible so as not to be immediately noticed. But I'm very excited and a little wary to be here right now. And I'm, of course, joined by my my steel defender, my mechanical anteater companion, Adrian, clanking alongside me. How's it going, Adrian? You good? You doing well? Okay, very good.
And a huge claw like pounds onto the ground.
Oh, such spirit. I pat Adrian's side with a ting-ting.
With a hollow thud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go find some refreshments. And I go looking for that booth.
Actually, as you're in the middle of this clearing because you are the star of a show that's about to begin.
Never
Dr.
mind.
Bonnydock.
I'm standing on stage, standing on this clearing, looking very proud for the audience.
Maybe you're sipping a refreshment you procured earlier in your hand.
Yes. I'm not keeping my head down at all. I'm very proudly standing here in the middle of this clearing, sipping from my refreshment that I got earlier.
Yes, precisely. So Dr. Bonnydock, you and your anteater are standing in front of a glowing blue crystal that's sort of suspended in the air behind you, about your size. And across the clearing from you, standing in front of a glowing red crystal, Hoki. Please describe yourself.
Hi everyone. I'm back. Yeah. Hoki Mucreb, and well, you all know me. Sorry about last year. It was well, we can't say I wasn't trying. But anyway, yeah. We're good now.
You hear like boos from the audience. Boo! And like someone throws like a crumpled up paper ball at you.
Oh, that's okay. Well,
it just says you suck on it.
Can't say I don't deserve that. This year's gonna be different, I promise you all.
Great, wonderful. And as you're standing there, we hear the announcer's voice again. My, Kelney, it looks like the first demonstration battle of the conference is about to begin. Can you remind the viewers at home what the rules of this battle are? It's a game of capture the crystal. the first gnome or halfling to grab the other gnome or halfling's crystal and bring it across the line in the middle of the clearing wins.
My money's on the little guy. Get it? Because they're both little.
Just shut up. Oh, and there goes the starting bell.
Oh.
And as the starting bell rings out, I need the two of you to roll initiative.
Okay.
Alrighty. That's a dirty 20 for the dog.
Dirty 20. Can you beat that, Hoki?
No, I cannot. I have a 15.
Okay. Dr. Bonnydock, you are the first to go. What do you do?
Oh my goodness. How far am I from Hoki and his crystal?
25 feet.
Okay, that's perfect. I am going. Let's see. Is Hoki currently? I assume he sees me. Well, I'm going to take out my little watch here, pull out a tool, just begin twisting, and it's going to begin emitting a pulse, a vibration that begins to shake the air around me, distorting me from view until I'm completely invisible. As I cast invisibility, and I quickly whisper instructions to Adrian to run around the other side and start interfering with Hoki while I run around to try and get to his crystal.
Wonderful. And the anteater, with surprising speed and dexterity, starts clawing its way around the left toward you, Hoki. You see its big, like, mechanical tongue coming in and out as an anteater. It seems to be bearing on you. You feel the ground shaking and trembling underneath it as its big metallic claws scratch past the chalk line that's sort of been drawn in the grass to demarcate the two sides of the space of this clearing. And you are invisible, Dr. Bonnydock. Do you move 25 feet or whatever your speed is around the other side?
Exactly. That's exactly what my speed is.
Wonderful.
So exactly 25 feet to the other side.
Awesome. Can your anteater do anything or take any actions?
Yes, it can. It can act on my, essentially shares my initiative and acts immediately after me. Will any damage done during this battle be non-lethal, or should we avoid damage by and large?
You can damage each other, but it is frowned upon to try to kill. But
yes,
you can whack each other around a little bit.
What I will prefer is I will attempt to have Adrian grapple Hoki.
Sounds good. So I think that's a grapple check, right?
That is a grapple check.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you roll athletics for Adrian, and you can roll dexterity or athletics for Hoki.
Natural 20.
That definitely beats Adrian.
Okay, so Hoki, what does it look like as this anteater rears up and tries to bear hug ya?
All the bumbling that Hoki had kind of been doing in the just kind of all of a sudden he just calms. He looks like us now, and just like does like the limbo thing and like right underneath as it swoops over top.
The huge claws like land on either side of you, and you now see like this anteater like bearing, but like it's swooping its big head from side to side, having missed you. So is that all that Adrian can do, or can Adrian take another action?
Adrian can take exactly one action, although Adrian does have reactions as well. So if
so like opportunity attacks and whatnot.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So now I believe it is our distinguished Hoki's turn. You've just dodged from the grasp of this anteater. What do you do?
And the object here is to get the other crystal over here.
Yes, but if you leave, you'll be leaving your crystal defenseless. But if you can get there and back in a turn or two, it might be worth it.
I'll just kind of look at everything and be like, it's a lot of effort. Okay. And I will speak an arcane word and cast catapult.
Okay.
And cause the crystal to fly towards me.
Okay, so how does catapult work?
So one object weighing 1 to 5 pounds within 60 feet that isn't being worn or carried. The object flies in a straight line up to 90 feet in a direction you choose before falling to the ground.
Okay.
So I would probably have to catch it, but I can make it fly towards me.
The crystal is heavier than 5 pounds.
Oh, it is. Interesting.
So I'm going to ask for a check to see how successful this is. Make a Arcana check for me as you handle your magic.
Ooh, that is going to be a 26.
Okay, what does your magic look like as you're trying to like bring the crystal into the air?
So Hoki would kind of have like a couple little material components that he pulls out and just kind of throw some things around. And then he would have a tiny little catapult, like a very tiny little catapult. And he would just kind of bing, and he would mime kind of flinging it, but then from that, little bit of arcane magic spills out, and kind of tendrils go out and grab the crystal and try to pull it towards me.
Okay, yeah, the tendrils come out, and it's like the crystals being like what's it called, like a tractor beamed,
Yes.
like across the field toward you, and you can see like the crystal actually hits the ground. It seems like whatever magic was keeping it suspended, floating in the air, is severed as soon as it's removed from its post. The point of the crystal digs into the ground and like it's scraped, and it's like kicking up dirt like an earth mover. And as you're pulling it, you can feel resistance through the weave, right? Like the crystal is digging through the earth, and maybe like beads of sweat start rolling down your face as you're trying to pull it in. And I think you managed to get it right before the line. Like it stops like right before the chalk line terminates. So Hoki, do you have another action?
I don't, but I
you
will
do.
use my movement to walk up to it at that point.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Dr. Bonnydock.
So how far is the crystal currently from Hoki?
Your crystal, the blue one?
Yes, my crystal.
Okay. If Hoki completes his action to walk toward it, then we'll be within like 5 feet of it.
Okay, so it's slightly more than 5 feet.
Yes. It's like it's like cinematically, it's like right before the line and it stopped.
Okay, I was going to try because one of Adrian's abilities is deflect attack, and I was going to have
interesting.
Adrian attempt to use a reaction to deflect the movement of the crystal as it headed towards Hoki.
Oh, yeah, no.
But if it doesn't get close enough, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, not quite close enough, but I really like that idea. Why don't you take a point of inspiration for that?
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, of course. So Dr. Bonnydock is what I almost said. Dr. Bonnydock, you see this crystal, you see like Hoki begin to run toward it. Will Adrian or yourself be taking an attack of opportunity against Hoki?
Well, I suppose we both will. I will have first. I will have Adrian once again try to grapple the good Professor Hoki. And are you a Professor Hoki?
You don't know yet.
Excellent. The good Hoki. And I will attempt to cast Ray of Frost.
Okay.
In order to reduce Hoki's speed by 10 feet.
All right, sounds good. Which one do you want to do first, the grapple or the Ray of Frost?
Well, the grapple first. If the grapple works, then I have no need for the Ray of Frost.
Sounds good. Adrian, roll athletics, and Hoki, roll acrobatics or athletics. Your choice.
That's another natural 20.
Oh my
goodness.
God.
What is your athletics, out of curiosity?
My athletics is a +0.
Oh, well, let me see, because I believe you just got beaten. Adrian rolled a natural 17 and gets, I believe, a +6 to athletics, and therefore a 23 would beat a 20.
But as the defender, could I not roll acrobatics?
You can.
That brings
you
me to
can
24
as the defender.
total.
Ah, never mind.
Oh, but it's close. Oh, Hoki, paint me a word picture of how close this is.
I start to walk and I hear the anteater kind of swinging for me, and I duck down, and you just like some of my hair, my big kind of shock white hair, gets brushed by the claw. I'm like, oh, that's a close one.
Yeah, I think some of it like comes off, like you get like a little close shave, and it like the hairs like spin through the air,
Like a
and
tiny
you
bald
dive.
patch on the back of my head now.
Yeah, you from now on you have a balding pattern on your back.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so you head toward your crystal as Dr. Bonnydock, as you see Hoki like diving toward the crystal. Do you now cast Ray of Frost?
Yes, it's a shame things have come to this, but I'm going to adjust the watch once again, extending a metal rod that begins to vibrate the air around it in a way that absorbs the cold in a line directly towards Hoki. Now, because I am currently invisible, of course, the invisibility will drop, but would I get advantage on this attack?
I suppose you would, because it's an unseen attacker. Yeah.
Well, does a 23 hit?
Oh, but only just barely.
A well-armored halfling. So that will be 8 points of cold damage, and your speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of my next turn.
Fantastic.
Chilly.
So, Dr. Bonnydock, do you flicker into existence? Does the invisibility wear off if you cast a spell?
Yes, I am
Okay.
now visible.
Yeah, so why don't you describe what it looks like as the invisibility drops and you attack Hoki?
Well, you see me essentially, well, I suppose you wouldn't see me, but the audience would see me shimmer into existence as the air, it looks like a ray of frost, but really it's a ray of sucking out the heat, heads towards you, Hoki, and blasts you from behind. You feel your joints and ligaments immediately begin to tighten a bit, as in the cold. Your body's not working quite as well. It's unpleasant.
This
though
is why
in no
I
way
moved
life-threatening.
down from the north. Ugh.
Yeah, you're getting flashbacks from your northerly travels as it's like your bones still, and I think we even see like flakes of frost, like ice crystals, like beating on your skin as you're trying to like go toward the crystal. That's not going to be quite enough to slow you down so that you don't actually reach the crystal by the end of your turn. But it is sort of like you're walking through an avalanche. You know, you're like, yeah.
Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Great, wonderful. Is that the end of your turn, Hoki? Your movement?
That would be, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So if you're slowed by 10 feet, that means you have, what, 15 feet of movement? I'm assuming you have
Correct.
25 feet?
Yes.
Okay, so you're about 10 feet away from the crystal by the end of your turn.
Sounds
you're like,
good.
you're like reaching out to it. It's so close. It's right there by the line. And now it's going to be Adrian and Dr. Bonnydock's turn.
Now, I imagine that we are, how high off the ground is the crystal?
It's floating maybe 5 feet.
Oh, so it is within range for Adrian or I to grab it.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to look at Adrian and say, well, let's get this show on the road, and have Adrian grab the crystal and run with it back across my line, essentially running past Hoki as I I'm going to cast. In fact, you know what? I'm going to swap that around. I'm going to take the crystal, run alongside Adrian, and have Adrian run with me past Hoki.
Okay, sounds good. So as you grab onto the crystal, this red crystal, actually, you can feel magical energy surging through your arms. Like this is like a powerful gem, right? So as you try to wrest it from its like floating space, make a strength check for me.
This is not my strong suit.
If you're just gonna use your body.
That is, let me check. Is 8.
Okay, that is not going to be sufficient to do what you want to do, but how's this? As you're struggling with it, lactic acid like building up in your biceps, you're like, damn, this crystal
May I
is
use
like...
the inspiration, or is it too
Yes,
late?
yes you can. Yes, go for it.
Let's try the inspiration here. That's not any better. In fact, it's worse.
Oh, no.
You're struck by inspiration and then, it's gone. And
I
your
immediately
muscles
throw my
tighten.
back out.
Yes, exactly. You're wrestling. It's like a Three Stooges, scene. Like you're like pawing against the ground, but the crystal isn't budging. And I think what this means is, you'll be able to get the crystal out of its place, but that's all you can get. I think you spent all your movement, your personal movement, also trying to get the crystal out, but you're able to pop it off its pedestal by the end of your, by expending all your movement.
Well, since Adrian never actually did anything, then can I then have Adrian run over and, why not, for a third time, attempt to grapple Hoki?
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yes. Roll athletics and Hoki roll acrobatics, I'm assuming.
Yeah, come on, third natural 20.
Did you roll a third natural 20?
Nope.
Oh.
What
I
was
rolled
it?
a natural 1.
Oh! I can tell you, Adrian definitely beat that.
Okay.
Adrian
so
got a
Dr.
14 this time.
That is sufficient to beat a natural 1, unfortunately, Hoki. So Adrian / Dr. Bonnydock, tell me what it looks like as Adrian successfully grapples Hoki.
Adrian is going to scurry over. Adrian's anteater mouth is going to split open a little bit, and a little wiry tongue is going to slide out and sort of wrap around Hoki as he stands there, just sort of like in a cartoon when you get wrapped up in a rope, just arms pinned to the side, legs pinned together.
Fantastic. I love it. Is that the end of Adrian's turn?
Yes, but thankfully I believe this does reduce Hoki's speed to 0. So
Yes.
all is not lost.
All is not lost. You've bought yourself some time here, Dr. Bonnydock, but let's see what Hoki's got up his sleeve. Hoki, what do you do?
I can still cast a spell, even though grappled, correct?
Yes.
I'm not restrained.
Yeah, unless this... Well, let me look up grappled real quick. Unless the spell requires, like, huge gestural components,
Sure.
I'll say yes.
Okay. And again, the object, I just need to get the gem across the line.
Yeah. The gem is 10 feet away from you, though, at this
that's
point.
fine. That's fine. I'm going to, even grappled, I'm going to kind of reach into one of my little pockets. I'm going to pull out a tiny little piece of rubber and make a hand motion and say a magic word. And all of a sudden, my limbs get really stretchy and really kind of fluid as I cast elasticity on myself.
Ooh.
I basically turn into a human or a halfling rubber band at this point. One of my arms stretches out 15 feet total. So long enough to grab the, and I grab the stone and still grappled, just try to drag it across the line.
Okay.
Now that is my action to cast it, so I don't know if I have enough to actually like perform the pull, but yeah.
I'll say you have enough, but Adrian can be the savior of Dr. Bonnydock's hour here because Adrian is right there. So I'm going to ask for a contest here.
All right.
Both of you get to choose your own skills and sort of like justify it in the fiction of like what you're using to like bring the gem across and what Adrian is using to stop Hoki.
Sure.
All right.
I mean, at this point, the spell is the thing, and at that point, it would be a strength check. Just try to grab it and pull it. He's not going to have enough strength to lift it up, but just drag it across.
Just tip the thing across. Okay, wonderful.
I think Adrian would sort of reel in on the tongue and turn sideways with Adrian's tail and try to whack at the crystal as it approaches, thus using the deflect reaction.
Okay, I think this is the first time
Disadvantage on whatever Hoki is trying to do.
Gotcha.
That's what that does?
Yes, deflect, I will read, it says, the defender imposes disadvantage on the attack roll. In this case, we're sort of stretching the definition.
Skill check, that's fine.
Yes, of one creature it can see that is within 5 feet of it, provided the attack roll is against the creature other than the defender. And because it is currently on the crystal, Adrian is going to attempt to deflect the crystal pull.
Okay, Hoki, I'm going to set the DC at 10, so roll that die twice.
That's an 11 with no bonuses.
Okay.
And an 8.
Oh, it's so close. So, Hoki, your arms stretch out. You're grabbing the top of the crystal. You're like, gimme, and you're reeling it in. And then, Adrian, describe what it's like as the tail knocks that bad boy out of Hoki's grasp.
Well, this large, beautiful fan-like tail, all of the fur is actually made out of little spires of metal, swings around and ping into the metal, into the crystal, just as Hoki seemed to be getting a good grip and getting it to slide. It boom, slammed down deeper into the earth, sort of pinned there, so that Hoki cannot move it.
Oh no. Okay, so you've driven the crystal like it's like halfway into the earth now. And poof, earth comes up and I think the crowd goes, "Ooh, ah," like they were like cheering along as y'all were fighting and they were like cheering on Hoki, but no, this deflection at the last minute. But Hoki, I'm going to give you inspiration because that was a valiant try. That was a very noble attempt after the fact. Okay. Is there anything else you can do, Hoki?
I don't believe so. Bonus actions. No, I believe that's going to be my turn.
Okay. Dr. Bonnydock, are you going to be able to win this thing? What do you do?
Well, I'm going to try something a little bit unorthodox. I'm going to open up my medical bag here, reach on in, and pull out my musket. Which is a magical musket. It is a repeating weapon. I'm going to position it, which means I do not have to load it. But in this case, I'm going to try and use a very unorthodox ammunition. I'm going to position it directly behind Hoki's crystal and essentially attempt to shoot the object and hope that it will fly across. I don't know how heavy it is, but the musket is fairly powerful, so hopefully we can get a little bit of distance at least and get this show on the road.
Okay. Make an attack roll, I guess.
All right.
Go for it.
Here we
Point
go.
blank attack roll.
That is a natural 1.
Okay. Okay, I have an idea. I'll still allow you to roll damage, but you're going to take a little bit of collateral damage as the musket backfires a little
Yes.
on you.
Understandable. That is 1d12 plus 5. That's still technically it's a 10. I do get a plus 9,
Jeez.
so okay. That is 8 points of
8 points.
piercing damage.
Okay, so you also take 8 points of piercing damage as this, I'll round up. This crystal was flung 10 feet. 1 point for every piece of damage that you did poof, forward, like, and it sort of like twirls through the clearing and ding, 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 poof, like lands on its side, 15 feet away from the line.
No. Well, at which point I'm going to. It's 15 feet from the line,
Yes.
which is just next to Adrian, is it not?
Yeah, we can say Adrian is nearby, but also has Hoki grappled.
Yes.
So that's a consideration if you want Adrian to do something.
Yes. What I would like to do is have Adrian simply release Hoki, run over, grab the crystal, and run it across the line.
Okay, as Adrian releases Hoki and starts to run, Hoki, you get an opportunity here, and I'm not going to restrict it just to an opportunity attack. As Adrian moves out of your range, what do you do? I'll even allow you to like cast a spell, like with
Okay,
your reaction here. Yeah.
I'm going to cast Tensor's floating disc. I'm going to cast it directly underneath Dr. Bonnydock's crystal.
Okay.
And then I'm going to run back towards mine. Because once I'm 20 feet away from that disc, it follows me, carrying with whatever is on it behind.
Okay, so you're going to try to like get it to lift and like follow you as you run
Basically,
deeper
yep.
into. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I think this is like an awesome like scene. As what does Tensor's floating disc look like as it like appears underneath the crystal?
I would almost imagine as like there's like this miniature little dust devil that starts to whip up right underneath all the grass and everything starts to whip, and then it's almost like seeing the air solidify into a base. I think about those like glass serving plates. It's almost kind of what it looks like as it lifts the gem up. You can carry up to 500 pounds, so this should be no problem.
Okay, wonderful. It's actually 501 pounds now. You're good.
Dang
it. And like the crystal begins to shake a little as a plate of earth like rises from it, and you turn and run. At the same time, Adrian is sort of like shaking the earth, like clawing like his anteater like claws, steel like over the earth, grabs onto your crystal, and I think there's like a moment like in slow-mo as like both parties like sail across right the line in like opposite directions, and like the crowd like a baby goes ah like in the crowd, like eyes like follow it as both of you. The crystals are now on either side of the line at the exact same time. And I think there's like a moment of stunned silence in the crowd, and then cheers and like, oh, come on, what was that? And like, disappointed groans as people lose bets, like arise as like people like clap, and like the announcers go, oh, look at that, a turn of events no one could have predicted. There's like a moment where the two of you get to bask in this applause. How do the two of you take it?
It was a good try, Doctor, but sorry, best halfling had to win.
Well, it does appear to have been a draw. I was going to congratulate you on...
Perhaps for the untrained eye, but I think we both know who won that one.
All right, well, I know better than to argue with you. And I hold out my hand and I offer it to shake. Hoki Mucreb, yes?
Yeah, and Dr. Bonnydock, right?
Bonnydock.
Bonnydock, okay.
Yes, sort of an open ah sound.
Gotcha.
I was meaning, I'm glad I got this opportunity to speak with you. I met a gentleman some time ago who actually suggested that I seek you out. I was in an inn, the inn at the edge of Greenwood.
And Hoki just starts to back away, and I will just try to lose myself in the crowd.
Mr. Mucreb? Hello? Oh my. What did I say, Adrian? Did I say something wrong?
And Adrian is actually like the tongue is like tasting the crystal that like he's like brought over, and he's like licking it and not really paying attention.
Like rock candy.
Yeah, Hoki, as you're backing off, so the clearing is just the two of you. You're backing off toward the perimeter fence where the crowd is congregated, right? And as you back off, like Dr. Bonnydock, you see him like press up against the fence, and then like a rough pair of hands grabs you by the shoulders, Hoki, and you hear a familiar voice go, "I found you, you scoundrel! Thought you could ruin my establishment and get away from it!"
Oh, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, and I'll try to look behind and see who it is.
You turn and you look up at a very angry Minotaur woman. And you remember, you kind of messed with her establishment. What was it, and what did you do?
Yeah, so, well, she ran a little bit of a curio that I found some interesting things in, and, when your prices are that ridiculous, there's just, it's more of a moral imperative to not pay them than it is to allow someone to continue ripping people off. So I didn't pay.
Can you name a god from me in your world? Just any god.
Yeah. Pro.
Pro?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You stole the amulet of Pro from my shop, and I expect it back.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Pro, that's not, I don't even worship the gods. I'm sorry. You must have me confused with another, Hoki.
Oh, why you? And Dr. Bonnydock, you see as this huge burly Minotaur woman grabs Hoki by the front of his shirt and lifts him into the air. Do you intervene?
Yes, I say there's no cause for violence here. Mr. Mucreb just fought a very impressive contest. Oh, why must we escalate to violence so quickly? Surely there's a way we can simply talk this out.
Can I do something?
Yes.
As I'm being lifted up, I'll reach into one of my pockets and pull out a little bit of iron powder.
Okay.
And just kind of at her, and I will attempt to cast Reduce.
Make her smaller?
To make her smaller.
Okay, how does that work?
So that's a con save, DC 15.
Okay, sounds good. She fails it. So what happens?
So her size is reduced by half, and weight to 1/8 of normal. And if she were to hit me, that would, affect her damage, and she has disadvantage on strength checks and strength saving throws.
Why, what do you think you're doing? Hey, what's happening to me? What are you?
As she shrinks down, her voice also gets higher pitched, and she drops you, and I think you are suspended in the air for a second, and then you fall down to the ground as you
Okay, that's it's a little more amiable. I don't know who you are, and I'm so sorry, but I've got to go. So.
Why you?
And she's trying to jump against the fence, but she's too small. And at this point, Dr. Bonnydock, you have caught up to Hoki.
Yes, Mr. Mucreb, I think it's best if we simply let Adrian provide us some cover. We can get away from far from the madding crowd, if you will, and sort of start to mingle if you prefer.
All right. Quickly.
I will have Adrian shield us, sort of wrap us with his tail as we shuffle away.
Sounds good. So the two of you find a break in the fence, and you shuffle into the crowd as Adrian is sort of like if Adrian could talk, no pictures, like being your bodyguard, basically. And as the two of you make your way through the crowd, are you heading deeper into the woods, sort of where the rest of the booths and the rest of the conference is set up? Or are you interested in exploring more of this arena area where people are demonstrating more dangerous and volatile experiments?
Well, look, dealer's choice, Mr. Mucreb. Where would you like
That's
to go?
only going to last for a minute, so we should probably get as far away as possible.
Ah, yes. All right. Well, to the booths then.
Okay. Do you have
Great.
a booth? I don't have a booth.
I do not have a booth, but we can find a booth where we can loiter.
Okay, if you say so.
Okay, wonderful. So the three of you make your way through the crowd. The crowd parts easily before Adrian's big mechanical claws. And you soon find yourself in a little like forested area where you see like, colorful booths, little like show areas. There's like puffs of like colorful smoke and smells of food vendors and the sounds of hawkers hawking out like, come here, step up, look at my incredible new invention, etc. Like all over the place. There's also like little like stage areas set up for like mini symposiums and speeches. And panels that people are giving. And as you make your way through the crowd, like no one really spares you a second glance because there's all kinds of like automatons similar to Adrian walking around. You even see like a floating little like butterfly thing with like mechanical wings following a woman around. So Adrian is pretty par for the course here, which means that the three of you are able to blend in as much as you want. So as you're walking around oogling and ogling, looking at all of these booths and the crowd, Dr. Bonnydock, you remember your mission. You were sort of roped into the middle of the demonstration battle by chance, right? But now you've found this Hoki, right? That this gentleman at the tavern told you to find. This feels serendipitous. So Dr. Bonnydock, now that you've had a chance to settle, what do you say to Hoki?
Hoki, I'm glad I found you because strange things are afoot at this proverbial Circle K. You realize, you wouldn't realize, but I have information about the potential speaker of this particular event. You see, Hoki, I am here. Well, ideally incognito, not anymore, but, you have, when duty calls, I answer. Here's the thing. I come from a faraway place, a place where things are very different than they are here, and I used to work for a corporation known as the Tundra Bluff Corporation. You see, they were a large corporation which specialized in all sorts of biomagical experimentation. I started working there with the intention of developing helpful treatments and magical developments to help the people of the world. But it wasn't long before I discovered that what they were really doing there were illegal, very immoral experiments on people, creating all sorts of monstrosities. Now, turning these people, you see, into monstrosities. It was highly immoral, as I said, and I could not be party to it any longer. So I freed as many of the creatures as possible, the creations, the experiments, you see, and fled. And I have since been traveling the world, trying to, well, not just the worlds, more accurately, trying to find as many of these escaped individuals, these people who are suffering, and that's not the only reason I'm here, I'm afraid. I'm also here on the trail of one of the experiments. This experiment has been causing havoc throughout this area, and I've been tracking it for some time now. And I think that the experiment may have come to this particular conference. Also having heard that the Tundra Bluff speaker will be here. Now this experiment, I'm not sure what exactly their powers are, but I know that they have some kind of powers that allow them to hide amongst groups of people. And so they could be anywhere. I don't know where they may be, but they could be anywhere.
You smell that?
No.
He's using rusted iron again in his components.
Who?
Dad, over there, Yaske.
Oh.
And I point to one of the other halflings who's kind of like wearing really nice clothes and doing like a whole bunch of like different colored smoke demonstrations. I'm just like glaring at him.
Sorry, did you hear a word I just said?
Tundra Bluff abominations, trying to stop them, many worlds. Yeah, I got the gist.
Yes, well, as I was saying, this really is an important issue that involves lives. People's lives are at stake, you understand.
His dishonesty is going to cost him one of these days.
Yes. Well, perhaps we could go speak to him, and then we can start.
There's no point talking. There's no point talking to him. I've talked to him a million times. He's not going to change.
Oh.
He says if people don't notice the difference, then he's not going to put the time and effort it goes in. And I turn, I give you my full attention now. I'm like, validity and the integrity of the components is the reason that the spell works or doesn't work the way you need it to. He doesn't understand that. Obviously, you understand that. Obviously, I understand that. But obviously, he doesn't understand that, and that's a problem.
Yes, well, I agree. I must say, look, I want to be very clear. You are under no obligation to assist me with my mission, but I thought that having been recommended to find you by an individual that I consider to be rather trustworthy,
I have no idea who he is.
You don't?
No,
well,
I don't.
He knows who you are.
Lots of people know who I am.
Oh, okay.
And it's not always, well, you saw, it's not always the good kind.
Yes. Well, I can assure you that it did seem as though this particular individual did know you for good reasons. He and I got along very well, and he recommended you very highly. Tell me, Hoki, you seem very interested in immoral activities and in righting wrongs. Is that correct?
Where are you getting with this?
Well, you were upset at the wrong selling practices of this individual here, the dishonest sales practices. It seemed as though the dispute with that Minotaur lady that we met was also sort of a sales dispute that may have involved some sort of immoral sales practices.
Right, and so you think that because that I have a problem with those things, I'm then going to throw my life on the line in order to help you with your abomination problem?
Yes.
I mean, it could be interesting.
It certainly wouldn't be boring. I can assure you of that. It's very
Not
few
boring
things
is
are
good.
more interesting.
Not boring
Yes.
is very good.
I roll up my sleeve and show like a little scar on my elbow. I'm like,
You see this? This is from a hyper-powered acid that was sprayed by one of the previous experiments. I managed to help them get it under control. And, you know, the injury has largely healed by this point, but I've got a little souvenir here. Absolutely, the experiment would just begin. It was sort of like an indigestion situation. Sometimes they would just start spouting off acid whenever they ate.
I kind of grab my shirt and pull it back a little bit, and you just see like massive scarring all across my shoulder and chest. And I go, and this is because I got the components wrong one time.
Well, that does not look fun at all. I'm very sorry that you had to suffer that way. Look, I don't want to pressure you. I'm simply asking. I don't have any friends here, really, and it's just Adrian and I, you see, and I was.
Well, if it looks like anybody, then how do you know it's not me? Probably a good place to start before we, team up and everything.
That's a good point. Is it you?
I don't think it's me.
I feel like you would think it was you if it was in fact you.
But I wouldn't say that I thought it was me, because if it was me and I was pretending to be not me, then I wouldn't want to tell you that.
What do you think, Adrian?
and like the tongue comes out and licks Hoki.
Adrian's a very good judge of character. That's one thing I've learned through our time together.
Can I roll an insight check on Hoki to try?
Yeah, you sure can. Hoki, are you going to be an open, not contested, or are you going to try to
Oh no, I'm not trying to. I'm being completely honest at the moment.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got a 10.
Okay, so Hoki, what are two things that Dr. Bonnydock picks up on about you?
That I finally gave him eye contact as we were kind of discussing the chance of something interesting. And that, as far as he can tell, I seem to be being sincere about not being the thing.
Yeah, Dr. Bonnydock, with your insight check, if Hoki were the imposter, let's say, then this would be a very sophisticated disguise. So it's very likely that Hoki is being genuine.
I believe it is best that I trust you, Hoki Mucreb. You seem like a genuine person.
I agree. It is best that you trust me. It would be best if everybody here would trust me, but there's issues.
Well, Hoki, since I have determined to the best of my ability that you are in fact not the escaped experiment, would you be willing to join Adrian and I in our quest to not only help this experiment, but also prevent any nefarious intentions that the Tundra Bluff Corporation may have for this conference?
That's a lot of commitment. I'll tell you what. Where's my? And then kind of looks up at the sun, like pulls out this weird little device that's got like all these like ratcheting pieces and like long everything. Kind of points it up and then carry the forward. I mean, we've got like 6 hours until sunset. I can give you till then.
Look, I'll take what I can get under the circumstances. Are you hungry?
Always.
Well, let's go get some food. Come along, Adrian. Let's find Hoki some grub.
If you're buying.
Oh, of course. I'll try and buy Hoki some food so that we can. Yes, I'm basically trying to keep. I think I've come to the conclusion that Hoki is probably just kind of doing whatever at the moment, and so I'm like, cool. Well, as long as he's in the vicinity, I feel he might get involved. So I'll just try and keep him around, and hopefully, whatever happens, he'll find interesting enough to actually participate in.
Right, like buying him like shiny little baubles to keep him like with you. Okay,
yeah.
Why don't both of you take a point of inspiration for that awesome roleplay moment?
Awesome.
That was nice. Yeah, I am loosey goosey with inspiration. It can stack. For me, like when I run up to 3. So if you're past 3, just give me a holler, let me know. But up until that point, like you can count as many as you want.
All right.
Okay. So Dr. Bonnydock, you pull up to the closest food vendor, and you see the vendor is a grung, like a kind of tropical colored grung, and it's flipping like crabs and bugs, as well as like a little like a meat on a grill, and is going. Come on up, get your bug meat and crab right up here. Anyone want your bug meat and crab?
What say you? I can't say I'm partial to bug meat and crab myself, but I'm happy to give it a shot. If you are, Hoki.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, whatever's fine.
Okay, 2 bug meats and crabs, please.
Well, here you go, and hands you like a fistful of kebabs. That'll be 1 silver.
All right. I hand over the silver, and then it occurs to me, Adrian, would you also like a bug meat and crab?
And Adrian seems extremely interested in the bugs.
It eats?
Like, he's like nosing it.
Yes. Excuse me, vendor, would you be willing to furnish my companion here with some bugs?
Absolutely.
Some bug meat.
Well, that's the first automaton I've seen that eats. Is some sort of organic combustion engine, or I'm just an intern here, but I have an interest in these things too.
Yes.
I'm like inspecting it now, like looking up and over it. This thing.
Okay.
Adrian is a special, very, very special automaton. You might say something of a cyborg, really.
Wow.
Yes. Very, very great, wonderful companion as well. How much would it cost for a bucket of bug meat?
A bucket?
Yeah.
Well, how about a gold piece, and I'll give you the rest of what's in stock.
I turn to Adrian and say, how does that sound?
And it's like the tummy growling.
We'll take everything you've got. And I hand
Well, here you go.
And hands over a huge bucket of bugs. And Hoki, while this exchange is happening, you've got your goggles on, you're inspecting Adrian. Make an investigation check for me on Adrian.
Yeah, this thing's weird. Ooh, that is a 11.
Okay, Dr. Bonnydock, what are 2 discrepancies that Hoki might notice?
I will.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt real quickly because I have abilities I keep forgetting about.
Cool.
I will use Flash of Genius to.
Okay, what does that mean?
It adds 3 to my roll when I'm making an ability check, so that'll bring it up to a 14.
Okay, so in that case, Dr. Bonnydock, what are 2 discrepancies that Hoki notices, and one of them is particularly weird?
Okay. I think the first of them is that for an automaton, Adrian seems to have much greater amount of personality than you would imagine, like idiosyncrasy. Adrian seems to get distracted by things and look at things, or will pay attention to people when they speak. And on top of that, I think probably the weirdest thing is that Adrian, you can see like the plates on his sides will open and close. Sometimes you can hear as they open and close, you can hear kind of like softly. So it appears that Adrian is breathing, which is extremely unusual for an automaton.
Coupled with the fact that Dr. Bonnydock referred to Adrian as more of a cyborg, which implies organic components.
It's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you seem very interested. Why don't we find a quiet spot to enjoy our bug meat and crabs?
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'll lead Hoki over to one of the like a stump that's kind of isolated from everyone
You're
else.
in the middle of a forest, so sure. Yep.
Yeah, and I'd like to I'd like to look at Adrian and give Adrian kind of an imploring look that's like,
Are you cool with me bringing him in on this?
but without saying that out loud, just kind of like a...
Yeah. Adrian turns like in the middle of like snarfing on these beetles, like pauses, like a wing like falling out of out of their mouth. They cock their mechanical head to you with a vroom, and like they wink, like with one shuttered eye.
Well, I'll pet Adrian's side affectionately and turn back to Hoki and say, "Now, Hoki, can I call you Hoki?"
What else would you call me?
Well, I had been calling you Mr. Mucreb, but I'm happy to go either way.
Oh, either's fine.
Okay. Hoki, you remember when I told you about the escaped experiments?
Mm-hmm.
And how I'd been working with them and trying to rehabilitate them?
Mm-hmm.
Adrian here, my friend, is one of those escaped experiments, encased in a cybernetic body in order to help keep Adrian safe, as well as those around Adrian safe. You see, Adrian doesn't wish to hurt anyone. However, they're very willing to aid me in my mission. So I constructed this to give them the freedom to be around other people as much as they want without hurting them, hurting other people. So
is the anteater
is a person
part of him, or is that additional?
It's additional. I built it as a home, sort of, for a mobile body.
That's clever.
For Adrian to live inside.
It's clever.
Oh, thank you very much. I do try. So I hope that with me telling you this, that you'll understand the need for secrecy in this area. Adrian, of course, needs to remain as incognito as possible in terms of people knowing that there's an actual person inside. We wouldn't want any vengeful victims from one of Adrian's accidental incidents before to come looking for revenge. We also wouldn't want Adrian to have to face any ongoing stigma. It's simply not fair that they are unable to, they've been put in a position where they're unable to control what their body does. So please do keep that secret if possible.
I don't think anyone would believe me even if I told them.
All right, well, that works
But I'll
for
keep
me.
it secret.
Thank you. How's the crab?
It's disgusting.
I agree. Truly vile.
It's the worst thing you've ever eaten.
Yeah, it's
And
horrible. I
Adrian
just
is
keep going.
scarfing it up. Yep.
Tears streaming out of my eyes.
Yeah, you're like trying not to throw up. Yep.
I'm not going to be feeling very well after this. I can tell you that.
Well, don't worry.
But
I've got a potion for that. You'll be fine.
Thank you, because I feel it would be rude not to eat it.
And as the two of you are talking and eating, someone walks past.
What do they look like?
Why don't the two of you make a perception check?
I got the black power fist here. It's a natural 20,
Hey.
which I think gives me a 22.
17 for me.
17 for Hoki. Okay. So with a 22, Dr. Bonnydock, roll a d10 for me.
Alrighty. It's a 1.
Okay. A halfling. Both of you notice this. A halfling man walks past, sort of like moving like automatically, almost like limbs sort of swinging almost in a perfect gait. Past the two of you, and just sort of like, because the two of you were sort of engrossed in your conversation, you don't notice until he passes, because he passes by pretty closely, and he seems to be walking like away from the conference, because y'all are sort of like sitting like a ways away from like the rush and the crush of the crowd and the stalls, and he's going like deeper into the woods, kind of, and he is dressed in a lab coat. Like very similar, like he looks like a conference goer, you know, he's got like a hat on, and see the back of like curly red ringlets of his hair as he's walking deep into the woods. You don't see his face yet. It is a little odd that he's walking away, and his movements seem almost automatic. Did the two of you do anything?
Can I roll an insight check on this person?
Yes, on his back as he's retreating, for sure. So make an insight check to see like maybe what's going on behind those ringlets. While Dr. Bonnydock is doing that, Hoki, what about yourself?
I'll look at him, look back at Adrian.
Okay.
That's weird.
Yes.
Yeah, as you remark that it's weird, Dr. Bonnydock, what did you get?
I'm using Flash of Genius to add 5 to my roll, which gives me 18.
18. There's something going on with this guy. He is not in his right mind. Something is compelling him to move.
I dare say, Hoki, my friend, there's something happening here, and what it is isn't exactly clear. Should we stop this individual?
No, we gotta...
I do believe this individual is being controlled. At the very least, we should try and interfere with what's happening.
We should follow, but we should wait until they're a little ways away so they don't see us coming.
Follow at a distance. All right, well, follow at a distance. Yes, I will take your word for it.
Depending on the enchantment, if we break it too early, that could actually do more harm than good. But
Like waking a sleepwalker.
could call it that.
Yes.
Could also call it crippling psychic paralysis.
Yes, we could call it that, and perhaps we should, since it sounds more accurate to what could actually happen. Let's sneak after this person. Adrian, you can leave the bucket for now, please. We need to... This seems troubling.
And you see like the bucket is on Adrian's like big long face, and like they're like swinging it from side to side, and they drop the bucket onto the ground and they smash it with a claw. They say "fuck you" to your rules, Dr. Bonnydock. But then they like have they're like done with their food tantrum, and they turn and they look up at you.
It's all right. I'll find you more bugs later. Let's see what's happening with this person.
All right. So the two of you are trying to follow stealthily from a distance, is my assumption.
Yes.
All right, roll stealth.
I'm going to use one of my 2 inspirations.
Sounds good.
Oh,
Yes.
worse.
I'm going to use one of my 1 inspiration.
Okay.
Try and roll better.
I got a 16.
I did. Yes, I got at least a 16. Let me see here. What do I have to stealth? I had a 17.
17 and a 16. That is pretty decent. Is Adrian also following or staying?
I will bring Adrian along. I don't wish for Adrian to be... Knowing that the Tundra Bluff Corporation might be here, I don't feel comfortable leaving Adrian...
alone.
Essentially, yeah, alone.
That makes sense. So why don't you roll stealth for Adrian as well?
All right. Adrian rolled a natural 17, which I believe... I don't believe Adrian... they get a plus to stealth. They are not proficient with stealth, but they do have a +1 to dex. So it's 18.
That's pretty dang good for the 3 of you. Okay. So Hoki and
We're
Dr.
not stealthy
Bonnydock.
people. That's not bad.
I know, right? That's pretty dang good. So describe to me how you're moving as you follow this person as they retreat deeper into the woods.
I would be doing the whole just kind of like wandering aimlessly, but like timing it in such a way that like if the person were to check over their shoulder, like I'm just behind a tree. Or something. But not like actively sneaking, but just kind of
Sure.
zigzagging with purpose.
All right, being casual about it. Dr. Bonnydock?
the doc is not like a subtle dude when it comes to stuff like this. This is not his purview. So he's gonna like climb on Adrian's back, and it's gonna be like you know how anteaters have like the ridge of hairs? It basically is gonna look like when you see depictions of like a Spinosaurus swimming through the water, like snaking through like a crocodile. It's gonna be like that, except like through the leaves, and the doc like sort of sitting on top, like just riding, like getting as low as he can, trying to look to try and see this individual ahead of us. But if anyone who actually sees this, it is the most incredibly suspicious thing.
Right, because you're sort of walking like perpendicular away from the conference at this point. So if anyone were like parallel to you, they just see like they'd see you on top of the back of a huge like steel defender, and like Hoki just sort of wandering aimlessly with purpose. The two of you notice something interesting. As you're walking tailing this person, he never turns around, ever. Even when like you think you've crunched on a twig, but you're like, oh, was that too loud? He doesn't turn around at all. And in fact, he only stops when he's just continuing to do this like perfect walk, right? Like this like absolutely immaculate gait. He stops when he hits a tree that's sort of directly in his path. He doesn't move around it. And he does something odd. He starts to strafe against it, like almost like a video game character. And he's sort of like locked in place.
Can I, as we're traveling, can I be casting detect magic as a ritual?
Sure. That takes 10 minutes, right?
It takes, it's one action, so it would take 1 minute to cast.
Okay. Okay. Yes, then you can. 1 minute to cast?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say by the end of this minute is when he like hits the tree and is strafing. What is the range on detect magic?
30 feet.
30 feet.
Yes, and I'm like sliding lenses down on my glasses, like to make
to look at it. Okay. Oh, that's so cool.
Things up like.
Oh, that's awesome. Take a point of inspiration for that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, both of you have like really cool like invention ways of like justifying your magic. I think it's dope.
Thank you. And so it's like eventually I sort of hook up the power to the power source on my wristwatch, and there's sort of like and like I think looking through them, you start to see like I can see like the particles of magic floating around in the air, similar to like if in Star Wars you can just see the Force. I could like see the magic that's all around us, and I'd like to, as an action, see identify or see what kind of magic is currently affecting this individual, if any.
Absolutely. And as soon as he hits the tree and starts strafing, you click the final lens in place, and it lights up. Not his entire body, it's odd, but where his face would be. It's lighting up in the colors of what would be, God, what would make sense here? Abjuration magic?
Abjuration magic.
But like centered just on his face, which you can't see, right? But you see it glowing like through your lens.
I'm going to relay this information to Hoki.
Okay, maybe you like whisper it as Hoki's walking.
Yeah, I kind of casually go by and catch the whisper. I'll also have been casting mage armor on myself.
Okay.
Which doesn't manifest as any sort of like spectral floating armor, but my coat and everything just looks a little more solid at the moment. Kind of.
Okay, it's like a little bit of glamour over your body.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right. So the two of you pull to a stop as this halfling man stops as well?
Mm-hmm. I would.
Okay. And now it's just the four of you and the trees and the wind and the distant calls of the conference. What do the two of you do?
Do we kill him?
No, I don't think that's necessary. I have another way. I think. Do you think it's time to wake the sleepwalker?
He's still against the tree, kind of, or
yeah, he's like it's like he hit it and he's unable to get around it, but he's moving automatically, sort of.
Yeah. We could just wait and see how long he does this.
No, this is a person walking into a tree. This is not only embarrassing, but also...
We've all walked into a tree from time to time. I mean...
Well, yes, but not for minutes on end. I mean, come on, man. This is simply unacceptable. We can't leave him like this. I'm going to creep forward alongside
Adrian, and I'm going to aim my watch, like my wrist, towards him, and it's going to like a little, what's the word? Like a satellite dish is going to like pop out, like and start to emit pulses, and I can see, because I can see the magic. I'm aiming for those pulses, or aiming the pulses towards that magic, and I'm going to cast Dispel Magic. Essentially, casting. It's like if you're using the opposite frequency, trying to cancel out a sound wave. That's basically what I'm trying to do. Is like cancel out the magic and dispel whatever magic is on this person.
I will see him doing this, and I will rush forward and try to beat him. I want to cast Mage Hand and try to poke the guy in the back of the head. But I like see that that's a good idea, but no.
Okay, so Hoki, is your play here to try to like make this guy turn around before the magic can be dispelled?
My play is to do something before Bonnydock does something.
Okay, I see. All right, so the pissing contest.
Petty.
Okay, understood. Dr. Bonnydock, are you going to be petty in exchange, or will you let Hoki poke first?
Well, no. If Hoki believes that this is the best route, I'm perfectly willing to step aside and try this as a second resort.
Sounds good. So as you bring out your watch,
it's not as fun anymore.
right, because you're not bought into it. Your satellite dish pops up. Hoki, are you still going to poke the guy, even though?
Yeah, but it's a lot less. Like, there's a lot. It's just there's not much heart behind it. It's like, okay, fine.
Sure. So what is describe what Mage Hand looks like?
Mage Hand, very classically, it just kind of floats off of my hand like a spectral glove, and kind of flies forward, and it follows my movements. Like I kind of puppeteer it all the way over to him.
Okay, as your ghostly finger, your spectral finger, prods the back of this halfling man's ringlets, no reaction. Like he doesn't even feel it at all. Like there's absolutely no change to his gait.
I knew
and
that was
at that
happen.
point, you're like, I knew it. The satellite dish pops open, and you cast Dispel Magic. How does it work? Can you read out the text to me?
Yes. So, choose one creature, object, or magical effect within range. The range is 120 feet. Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target ends. For each spell of 4th level or higher on the target, make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, the spell ends.
Make a spellcasting check.
Okay.
Okay, high level magic.
That is a natural 20. Got that the Black Lives Matter fist.
Yes. Okay, what's the total?
The total for that is going to be, it's plus my spellcasting ability modifier, that's going to be a 25.
All right. So Dr. Bonnydock, what does it feel like when you're in the zone? Right? Because this is what a natural 20 means, right? Like this means you're in the zone. You know this is like the best you can perform to your like gnomish ability, right? What does it feel like?
I think that I get tunnel vision. Everything else sort of blacks out, and it's just me and the goal. And I see this halfling man, and I think, my goodness, some sort of nefariousness has been done upon you, and I will end it now in this very moment. And I calibrate the frequency just so, and I can hear the faint hum of the dish as it starts to changing pitch ever so slightly, and hopefully the magic ends on the individual as I do so.
There is a moment where, let's say, like in bullet time, sort of in terms of metagaming, we see a laser or the sound wave, emit from the satellite dish, and we follow it like an arrow flying through the air toward the back of this halfling's head, and as it sort of pushes through their skull and touches this abjuration magic that's sort of like a flat plate across their face. And then Dr. Bonnydock, you reel backward. As whatever magic has a hold of this man, sort of bing, almost like two magnets repelling each other, slams into you. And I actually think, Dr. Bonnydock, you fall off of Adrian. You're not going to take any damage, but you fall onto the ground from the force of this blast. And Hoki, you see this as well. And in that exact moment, your mind blooms open like a flower, Dr. Bonnydock, and some sort of a link is established between you and the source of this magic. And we sort of see through your eyes as we see the back of the skull and It's like you're having an out-of-body experience. You fly through the tops of the trees. You fly past branches. You fly past vines and leaves. You fly past the colorful bunting and the tops of tents, and you fly through the crowd. You fly past this grung, person like selling their bugs and their meat, and you fly toward a single person who turns, and you see their face, and it is the face of a halfling man with curly, thick, red hair with like green eyes, kind of round face, but he's wearing sort of like a leather like armor on, sort of stands out from the rest of the crowd, has a hood on, and the eyes sort of go wide, and you see the pupils sort of dilate in recognition as this person sees you. This is the source of the magic, and you see this person in the psychic link, and poof, it's cut. Like the string of fate, poof, it's cut, it's severed. And you're just sort of reeling there. As you can see through your spectacles, the magic is still sustained. Even though you had done to the best of your ability to dispel it, you were unable. Because the true source of that magic is that person in that crowd that you just saw.
Oh, Hoki, I just had to tire. I saw the world, it's full of stars. Look, there's a person, there's a halfling.
And I pull a flask out of my, like a little vial out of my coat. I'm like, hey, drink this, come on. It's a potion of calming.
Thank you.
You drink it, it's straight liquor. Like, it's just...
Potion of calming!
I don't drink. Wait a second. The doc is going to reach into his lapel, take out a little tiny pair of bellows, put them in his mouth, and put away his Victorian era inhaler.
Oh my god. Why don't both of you have inspiration for that exchange? That was hilarious.
Amazing.
And he's gonna say, it's the magic that is being done to this halfling gentleman is being cast by another halfling, a halfling back somewhere in the crowd.
Halflings
I saw
are the
his
worst.
face. He's got, well, let's not get racial. He's got red curly hair, I believe green eyes, round puffy face. He's wearing some kind of leather armor. He saw me, Hoki. He saw me see him.
So, DM,
Yes.
is the description the same as the person who's against the tree?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Almost like a twin.
And I don't recognize this person. This isn't like an artificer I know.
Well, not from the back of their head, no. But if you turned him around, you might.
Oh, I haven't seen their face yet. And he's
No, you haven't.
Okay.
Neither of you have seen his face yet.
Okay. I'll walk over and take him by the shoulder and try to turn him around. I need to see this guy's face.
Okay. Hoki, you stride forward, you grab him by the shoulders, and just like with your mage hand, no like resistance whatsoever. Yeah. You turn him around, and his lab coat is a little like dusty now from being in the forest, a little muddy. And you see a name tag in common that you recognize, and his name is Dr. Halos Littleman. And the name that's above, like, let's say, Geklar Industries or like Geklar Research Laboratory. And you recognize Geklar, right? A somewhat prominent artificer who recently passed away. And now you've like heard through the grapevine that his assistant has taken over his lab. This must be the assistant. And as you look at his face, he doesn't have one.
Is it just a complete blank?
It's just like a blank. There's nothing there.
Yeah, great.
The goggles come up. I'm looking. Yeah, I like snap into like investigation mode.
Okay.
I would like to kind of poke and prod the face.
All right.
And I want to see, like, I'm trying to determine, like, did it grow over? Was it ripped off? Was it transmutated? Like, what's going on here?
I think that's an Arcana check.
Okay.
So go for it.
I will, just because, I will add my Flash of Genius to that.
While this is happening, the doc is going to have Adrian sort of position themselves perpendicular to the action, and it's like sort of aim their nose towards that, and Doc is going to take out his musket and like brace it on Adrian's back just in case, because he's like, this is not good.
That's not going to be necessary. 29.
Okay, holy fuck, what? Okay, a 29. Yeah, You can not only sense the abjuration magic that's covering the entire like flat plane of like Dr. Littleman's face. You even see like the edges of the face where there are freckles, right? It's like it's been taken. His face has been taken by magic.
Well, that's unfortunate for you, my friend.
Yep. And like you can also ascertain like some kind of soul or like personality or something has also been taken, which is why the body's left behind. The body's in perfect working order. Like everything, the circulation's fine, the breathing's
like
okay.
lifting up the arms and kind of like,
you check the vitals, he's totally fine. It's just sort of like the face, and you can sort of ascertain the automatic movements are because of that. Right? The face has been taken, the life has been taken, but like it's still like automatically moving.
Hoki, I think it's best if we go and try and find the source of this magic. I know that this halfling, they just saw me. Perhaps we can catch them if we give chase. I don't know if there's anything that we can do for Dr. Littleman right now, except maybe to tie them in place so they can't go anywhere and hurt themselves.
I'm like still just kind of like obsessed with this, and
totally.
as I kind of swirl around him, you do get a look at my face, and like for the first time, like I've just kind of got like this grin cocked on my face. And I just kind of like, I look up at you. Okay, now this isn't boring.
Yes, well, what say you to giving chase? Because I do believe that this individual is out there somewhere.
Oh, we're gonna have to find him, but is it? Do you have any rope?
Well, yes, I always come prepared.
I take out some rope.
I've learned quite a few knots from my time in the Good Body Scouts.
Great, tie him to a tree.
Yes.
As I'm tying him, I'm like,
Tie him to a tree.
as I'm doing that, and I'll have Adrian just sort of like help me while also harmonizing, like, Adrian can provide a baseline, it's not like a walking baseline.
Yeah, totally.
As I'm tying Dr. Littleman to the tree,
And I say, well, shall we go and find this person now?
Are we within a mile of the main attraction? Have we gone more than a mile out? Okay, I will, while he's tying to the tree, I will also take a minute to cast alarm around the tree. So take out silver thread and kind of hook it up around everything. And I'll kind of, all right, well, if anything comes for him or if he goes anywhere, I'll know it. So let's go.
All right. Just sally forth, Adrian.
I'm gonna hop onto Adrian's back and like, ha!
Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Hoki, are you letting Hoki ride as well? Or
Oh
is
no,
Hoki,
I
like,
watched
running?
him just run away. I'm like, this guy.
Sorry,
go,
so used to being alone. I see you, like, we come back. Sorry, climb on the back. Climb on the back.
Yeah, I wish I still had my carpet, but that's another story. Climb up.
Yes, my goodness, I'm really in a whole new world with you. And I'll nudge Adrian inside to say, tally ho!
Like grab onto you to like keep from falling off.
Totally. I love that.
The doc is not a strong man, so he's just like barely. The fact that like a person has added their weight to his, he's like,
I love that. Yeah, as the two of you like sail like through the woods, heading back toward the conference, Dr. Bonnydock, tell me, how are you steering Adrian? Are you just gonna go like plow straight into the middle of the conference and start looking for this guy, or what's your play?
Their ears, or their tiny little anteater ears.
Sure.
Okay, this way,
and try to use verbal instructions. But essentially, I want to run up to the edge of the conference and then dismount and begin sort of like Pink Panther sleuthing, like around.
Yeah, totally. All right, so as Adrian paws through the forest, Dr. Bonnydock, you've been with Adrian a long time now, so you feel like you've been able to read your companion pretty well. Adrian is unsettled. There's something, upon seeing this person without a face and hearing everything you've said and everything that Hoki said, Adrian feels you can feel fear, sort of like an engine running like underneath everything else that's powering Adrian. And you get the feeling that Adrian knows a confrontation is drawing near and is growing worried, scared.
As we arrive at the edge of the clearing, I would like to say, and Adrian's kind of stopped running and say, Adrian, are you okay to continue with what's about to happen? You seem reticent or reluctant, perhaps. Are you okay?
And Adrian paws at the ground, which means like, I'm scared, but I trust you.
Adrian, why don't we go for the old R2-D2 maneuver?
And I take out my gun, my musket, and slide it under one of Adrian's plates, so that at the appropriate time, Adrian can just flap it up in, and I can have it if necessary.
Okay, sure.
Amazing.
I love that. Yeah, take inspiration for that. Yeah, you've sort of calmed Adrian's nerves a little bit, because this is sort of gonna, hunting down Tundra Bluff Corps, like, agents and experiments is pretty hard for Adrian. So
as we're walking, it's like a calming thing. I'd also like to start naming various types of bugs that Adrian has to look forward to that they haven't tried. Because I think Doc knows a lot of different like animal creatures, so he's just naming every time. He's like, "You haven't tried the bombardier beetle, I tell you that."
Man, like, yeah, you're picking up Adrian's spirits. I love that. And Hoki, as you watch Dr. Bonnydock and Adrian sort of like understand each other almost on like a spiritual level or something, like this is like a kind of friendship and a bond that I think is pretty foreign to you. How's that making you feel?
I'm kind of keeping my hands busy. I am infusing little pieces, little gears that I have in my pocket with some magic. So I'm making 3 infusions there. But as I'm doing that, kind of watching this and just, I'm thinking about some of the little creatures that I've learned to animate or build, and they're little servants, but they're nothing quite like this.
Yeah, totally. Like, this is definitely like a bond I don't think you've ever been able to make yet, at least. So the 3 of you pull in, like, kind of close to where you stopped earlier to, like, have that talk under that tree. And you hop off Adrian, and it's time. It's time to sleuth. So tell me, Dr. Bonnydock and Hoki, how are you approaching this?
I'm going to find the crowd, and I'm going to start flicking these little infusions into the crowd. Each one of them I have infused with an odor, and it is noxious. It is like skunk level nasty. And so I'll go one way and do that. And basically I'm trying to flush out anything weird. Like, everybody should be reacting to this. And if something reacts different, that'll tell me something.
Okay, interesting. So are you going to head off and are you going to tell Dr. Bonnydock about your idea?
Yeah, I'll be communicative here. I'll be like, all right, so I'm going that way. I'm going to flush them out. It's going to stink, but it's going to work. But I don't have enough to do the whole crowd, so maybe you go that way and do whatever you normally do.
All right. Should we have a signal for when we find this individual?
If you want, I'm pretty sure there's going to be lots of screaming.
Okay, so we follow the screams. That's a bit more macabre than I was hoping for, but look, I think it should still be effective. Okay.
We could hope for no screaming. You never
Doc
know.
is going to like adjust.
Well, perhaps we should shriek upon finding the individual.
Oh, that's what I meant. If I see something go crazy, I'll scream and let you know. Yeah, you'd come. Like, it sounds like this.
Well, okay. Yes, I can shriek as well. It shouldn't be a problem. It's a natural response. Yes, I suppose we'll reconvene. If we don't find anything, we'll reconvene here in 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, Doc is going to like flip through his the lenses on his glasses again until it's a pair of sunglasses.
Okay.
And he's going to
Aviators?
It's
no, full on like secret agent sunglasses.
Excellent.
Oh my god.
And he's gonna lean over to Adrian and say,
throw on the baseline there.
and Adrian's gonna be like,
Yeah.
And the Doc is going to like,
Yes. Right. The name's Bonnydock.
and just start like walking through the crowd investigating for this person.
As they walk away, I'm
on
like,
the other end,
it
right?
sings
Yes.
too? This thing is unbelievable.
the doc starts like fully like as he's walking along.
And like women go, ooh, like as you pass, as you're like making your way through the crowd.
Every time my mustache twinges. Response.
Okay, wonderful. So you each take like one end of like the conference area, right? And let's say, ooh, for goody fun time's sake, the center of the conference, it's sort of centered on these ancient dwarven ritual stones. And there's sort of like a partition like set up around it, like crowd control sort of, so you can't get like close to them. Though there are people pressed up against it and they're like sketching it or they're taking notes on them, you know, because it's from like an ancient ruined like dwarven empire. Like apparently this is like the nexus of like various magical ley lines all across Axon Head, you know. And this, the two of you would know based on like publicity that's been swirling around the conference. This is how they're going to contact the keynote speaker because they're from a different plane. So they're hoping to draw them in and basically have them appear here and give the speech. But that isn't until later today. So Hoki, you make your way off. Let's just arbitrarily say, how does the east side of the conference sound to you?
East sounds perfect.
Great. You head off to the east, and Dr. Bonnydock and Adrian head off to the west. So let's do Hoki. Let's do you first. So Hoki, you see a bunch of stalls, you know, unsuspecting people with clear noses and no weird scents anywhere nearby are looking at like various like techno, you know, thaumatechnical inventions and gadgets and whatnot. So as you're looking around, looking for a good place to plant your stink bombs, right? Why don't you roll 2d10 for me?
And I very specifically hope to run across Yaskier and plant one of those stink bombs right on his shop because he's a bastard who sells
the guy with
components. Yes.
Like the okay, cool.
Yes. All right. So the first one's a 7.
Okay.
And a 1.
All right. Can you roll the second one again?
A 5.
5. All right. Okay, so sort of on the east side of the conference, the crowd sort of gathered around a single stall. Like there's like a couple people at other stalls, but there's like a main attraction here, right? And sort of like elevated on like a mini stage. You see a halfling, a girl. She is like young, right? Like in terms of like, if we were to translate to human years, probably like in her teens, tweens even maybe. She's standing up there with a big pair of like thick spectacles and like dark skin. And she's got like this like dark hair, like her braids are pulled up sort of like into like a messy bun, like with like braids sort of like spilling out about her. She's wearing like a coat, a lab coat that's a little too big for her. But she is sort of like very seriously sermonizing and gesturing toward a what can only be described as a test experiment. An older man is sort of sitting a bit nervously in a chair, right? As these like machines like swivel around him. And she's in the middle of saying, my internal augments target your bones, hardening them and allowing you to regain a sense of your youth, causing your marrow to become denser and to lengthen your lifespan. Observe. And the guy sitting in the chair goes, is this say as like a bunch of like stick into him and he like shakes and the crowd goes ooh but then like after he's done shaking the little like spurs come out and he goes, well, I feel younger, stronger, and he stands up and there's like a set of weights like on the stage and she goes, please, if you don't mind. And he goes over and he picks up like 100-pound like weight and he like cleans and jerks it above his head. And the crowd goes, whoa! They're all like clapping and he goes, I'm as strong as an ox. And he drops it back down and starts like flexing and like showing off his like wiry like old man muscles. And she goes, thank you, as they're all clapping and applauding her. And Hoki, as you approach, you hear like 2 people in the crowd speak like, well, that's called a good bow for you. Prodigy, I hear. Youngest scientist invited here as a speaker after the keynote. So Hoki, this is the scene you come across on the east side of the conference. What do you do?
Well, the first thing I'll do is I want to kind of once the demonstration's done and people clear a little bit, I want to walk over and just kind of obtrusively try to pick that weight up and double check that it's actually heavy.
Okay. Are you gonna wait for this girl who had been named as Calda to also leave the stage? Because she seems to be like on it, like pretty confident.
I'm kind of just like sidling up to it and like waiting for her eyes to turn the other direction. I just give it a quick, just double checking that it's a real weight.
Okay, you sidle up to it and you prod the weight. I won't even like ask for a check. It seems pretty legit. Like you're like moving it, and because it's like rolling, it can roll, but it feels pretty heavy, and like you could feel it, and it feels like iron.
Interesting. I'll kind of give her a look, clock her, make sure I remember her with my keen mind. And,
Sure. Okay, you're able to.
And then I flick one of the infusions into that crowd, and skunk odor hits everybody.
Skunk odor. Okay, I love that. So what, can you read me the text of what that means? Or is there a text?
Well, basically, as my infusions can be put together with tiny non-magical objects, I can infuse with light or sound or odor. So I'm just flavoring that as having like a skunk type odor as I throw it out there.
I love that. Are you trying to disguise that it was you who threw it?
No, I don't feel like it matters much at this point.
Okay, sounds good. So you flick this infusion, and does it like break? What does it look like as like smell begins to balloon out?
Yeah, I think it kind of hits the ground and does the whole like ding, 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 like a ringwood or something, and then just this like green like floats up.
Okay. Do you have like a gas mask on or something, or are you also like in the middle of it?
No, but I'm just like doesn't seem like to bother me that much, or at least
Okay, sounds
I'm
good.
going to try to hold against it.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so as this like disgusting, noxious odor starts to like fill the space, the crowd goes, ew, what the hell? You know, they start to like disperse. They're like, what in the name of the hells? You know, as they're like getting out, and you see like Calda like up on her stage go, well, good lords. And she's like coughing and sneezing and like retching a little into her elbow, and like two like handlers come up and they like pull her off the stage, you know, and like the crowd begins to disperse because it was freaking nasty. Right, it was really disgusting.
Anybody not reacting or reacting strangely?
Yes. One person sort of stays in the crowd, and they're just sort of like standing there, still staring at like where the weights are, you know. And they are maybe like an older human man.
Okay.
You know, like he's just sort of standing there, and he's, you know, his face is turned, I think, away from you, and he's staring straight at the crowd. And he seems to be like a regular like conference attendee. He doesn't have like a lab coat on or anything.
Mm-hmm. I will walk over to him.
You approach him, and it's just you and him now, and this cloud of disgusting skunk acid. And as you look at his face, he doesn't have one.
Oh boy. Kind of give him a little pat on the back.
Okay.
I'll send out the signal.
And we cut now to Dr. Bonnydock, and let's like rewind the clock maybe like 5 minutes before like you scream. As Dr. Bonnydock is like making his way downtown, walking fast through these crowds. What do you do to investigate?
I will be turning on, once again, ritually casting Detect Magic. And just sort of like it's just full on like,
Man walking around, looking at people, looking in faces, just sort of leaning around, looking cool. Hey, no one's there. Continue walking, and like trying to basically the idea, a really dorky man's idea of trying to be like super secret cool man, looking through this crowd just straight. I guess the idea is I'm investigating, so I'm just trying to look at everyone's faces and see. And I don't think it's even really occurred to me to try and hide that much. I think I'm just kind of like, hey, yeah. And hopefully, I think I'll produce a similar pair of spectacles, shaded spectacles for Adrian.
Oh my God, I love it.
So that we both can like be wearing sunglasses, looking like a couple of cool cats, walking through the crowd, looking at people's faces.
Yeah, okay, we hear the Beach Boys playing in the background as you like stroll down this crowded boulevard. Yeah,
We
we are having fun, aren't we, Adrian?
Okay, I love it. So as you're strolling down, like with your detect magic spectacles on, it is lighting up like a fucking like fireworks show because there's so much magic everywhere, right? Like people are augmented. You know, you see like some people's like limbs are glowing, some people's amulets are glowing, some people's like eyes are glowing, mouths. You know, so one person's butt is glowing. You know, you see like other like magical constructs that are completely glowing. You see like a big sort of like almost like a suit of armor that's just like completely like glowing with like enchantment magic, etc. So it's everywhere. It's hard for you to pick out the exact kind of abjuration magic centered on people's faces, right? So I'm gonna need you to make a perception check to see if you can separate the wheat from the fallow.
Is Adrian able to give me the help action since we're both kind of looking around?
Yes.
Okay. This first one's a natural 1. Second one is a 7. I will use my second flash of genius.
Okay.
To make that a 14.
14.
Yes.
So tell me how you're trying to narrow your focus. Are you focusing just on abjuration colors? Or are you just
Yes.
focusing on people's faces, etc.?
Yeah, I'm looking for abjuration as well as anyone's faces. So I'm fully aware that this person may not be clearly emitting magic, because clearly if they're able to resist my my dispel magic, they might be able to just hide the fact that they're using magic entirely.
Totally,
So I'm also looking for anyone who even resembles. I'm looking for red hair. I'm looking for short people. I'm looking for anybody wearing leather armor. I'm looking for anybody who's clearly a halfling. Anybody who could even partly fit the description of the person I'm looking for. Just kind of glancing like, oh, okay, no, maybe not them. Oh, no, that's a cow. It's a small cow. Continuing, just looking around like that.
Okay, I love it. As you do, why don't you roll a 2d10 for me?
Okay. That is a 2 and an 8.
Okay. So as you walk by, like trying to pin down like abjuration magic and faces, one particular stall like catches your attention because there's some like angry and like concerned murmuring about it, right? And as you turn to look at the stall, you see like people are still like lighting up like fireworks displays, and you see like the stall has a bunch of prosthetics, like limbs and legs and hands and feet and whatnot. And all of the prosthetics are like lit up with like enchantment magic to like make them work better, right? Which isn't exactly unusual. But the thing about this stall, this booth, is it's unmanned, right? And like people are like crowding it and like looking around. And someone's like, where is he? Where's Linos? I commissioned my prosthetic many moons ago, and I'd expected it to be delivered here right now. Where is the man? He's supposed to be here. He's late. But the person who's supposed to be at the stall isn't there, which is odd. Definitely odd. And as you look around, you see several other stalls like that as well. Stalls that have been left unattended. And you see a couple of like opportunistic attendees are looking around and they start like prodding the goods, you know. A couple of them might have like slippery fingers, might want to like finger some goods on their own. But yeah, especially as you approach where the ritual stones are, you start to walk past them, sort of past the midway point. And that's when you hear the scream from Hoki.
Can we say that along the way, anytime I saw somebody sort of reaching for something,
Yeah. You call him out. Like a kid goes, shucks. I just wanted a free plastic eyeball for myself, but I guess not.
No plastic eyeball for you unless you pay the old-fashioned way.
and then I continue, and then I hear the scream, and I go,
Well, gadzooks!
Oh my God.
Dangers afoot, Adrian! Let us ride!
and I'll grab onto Adrian's tail as they start to immediately take off, and I'm like, Wah! Being pulled through the crowd after them towards the sound.
Okay. The smell hits you first, Dr. Bonnydock, as well as the lack of crowds here because they've all dispersed. And like as the last of the scent dies down, you just see Hoki and this one human man.
And
without a face.
like after the scream, like now I'm just poking and prodding again. Like I'm
Sure. Yeah, he's
double
just sort of
checking
standing
that this
there.
is the same thing. Just kind of
Yes, it appears to be the
confirming.
same phenomenon. Yep.
May I see if this individual has a name tag?
Yeah, he doesn't have a name tag, but as you're rifling around, are you like checking his pockets, like I'm guessing?
Yes, I'll look to see if we have any kind of identification we can find here.
Sure, yeah. You pull out a name tag, and it just sort of says, Lorley Shoes. I pre-genned a bunch of names, so I'm sorry if you did that.
Lorley Is that one of the stalls that I saw from before? That might have been-
No, that's the Shoe family from out east. They're pretty well known.
And you would know Lorley specifically, Hoki probably, as they're pretty, I think, moneyed, and they would have been like a sponsor here. So like this man wasn't like a scientist, but he like helped to make a lot of these inventions like happen.
This is the money bags. So this is
patron of the
interesting.
sciences.
That's a nice way of putting it. Well, did you find the creature?
No, I did notice, though, that there are a number of unmanned booths. It seems as though what befell, poor Lorley here and Dr. Littleman may have also befallen a number of other individuals.
I'm gonna reach into my coat, pull out another little vial.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop it, drink it. swish it around, spit it back in there, and then look through it. And I'm casting detect magic, and using the potion as like a filter. As I kind of look around, and I go, all right. And I actually the potion itself has like the bottle has like a little hook, and I just hook it to my glasses. Now it's like hanging there on my glasses, like as it let me look through it. And I'm like, all right, let's see if we can't pick up a trail here. And I'll just kind of do a 360 and see if I catch anything weird. I know there's lots of weird stuff here, but yeah.
Totally. Oh, that's a really cool, I think, use of detect magic. Take inspiration for that. Really cool. Yeah.
Right.
So both of you have your detect magic shades on, right? And you're sort of, and I think you're sort of like in like a ghost town like area of the conference that's been vacated by the stink bomb. And as you're looking around, right, like looking for anything unusual. Why don't the two of you make a perception check for me?
Okay. Perception.
Can I either roll mine with help with Adrian, or can Adrian also be looking?
Let's say Adrian makes their own perception check and is also looking.
Then I will roll one for Adrian, because I got a 5.
15 for me.
15?
Adrian rolled an 8. I think
Okay.
they get do they get any bonus to perception? Yes, they do. They get a +8 to perception. What the
fuck?
So that's a
okay.
Yes.
A 16. Okay. Adrian and Hoki, I think the two of you notice something person walking sort of like ambling in a very similar gait to Dr. Littleman. Right. But this person sort of like walking, just sort of like aimlessly off, like in one direction. And as soon as you notice this one person, you see another person like walking in the opposite direction, sort of like meandering off.
Do we see faces?
You do not see faces. You specifically do not see faces. And these people look like they're scientists, right? They've either got lab coats on or they've got like goggles on their heads, like similar to you, etc. They're like a mix of like halfling and gnomes and humans. And there's like multiple of them now, like just like all walking, wandering. Hoki, you would recognize some of them because you're a native to Alçon, right? And you're sort of like in the artificer like community. You notice a couple of them as like fairly well-known artificers, right? But they're missing their faces, and they definitely would have had booths here, and they would have been like pretty famous and popular. And all of them would have done work under biomagical augmentation to like go with this year's theme.
So take the thing off my glasses, turn back to Lamond. All right, so all of these creatures that you let free, which one of them was the face stealer?
Well, I guess DM, do I know if this particular experiment steals faces?
I think we've been operating under the assumption that you were unaware. So I think the only information you really have about this person is that they can blend into crowds, right? Yeah. But you weren't sure how. So it's starting to like come together now. And that they're very aggressive is another one.
Yes, I'm going to say, well, I'm thinking we may have found them. I would like to see if I can tell if all of these people are coming from a specific direction.
Sure. Yeah, they all seem to be coming from various stalls, like down this like conference strip, let's say. Like they're sort of like spaced out. They seem to be like walking away from those stalls. So you can very easily deduce these are the missing stall people.
Right. Would I be able to trace a path through the stalls to figure out like, okay, so this person was the farthest away, this person was slightly less far, and be able to kind of follow a path of missing people?
Absolutely. You must have just missed this face stealer, because it based on like you're putting the puzzle pieces together, like these are stepping stones, right? Or like puzzles, and you're fitting the pieces together. Yeah, whoever took their faces must have like made their way like from east to west. Right, dodging, blending into the crowd, like moving along, right? And they must be somewhere beyond the ritual stones at this point. And almost to like punctuate that, the two of you start to hear shouting, commotion from the crowd that you left. Seems like maybe people are starting to pick up on the fact that folks are missing faces.
Yes.
It's a pretty obvious problem.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't go slow. And as we go, I will tap my signet ring, which is one of my artificer infusions, and regain a 2nd level spell slot.
Sounds good. All right, getting ready for battle. Okay.
I will. As we're running along with Adrian, I'll be like, keep an eye out, Adrian. We need to find this person and be ready to R2D2 it up.
And you hear like the musket like click between Adrian's plates.
Cocks it. Fires it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Can I roll can we roll perception or investigation or something to try and find this person?
To like follow this trail of screams as you go like back toward the western area of the conference.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Why don't both of you roll investigation?
Sure. Oh. Well, that's a 19.
Okay, 19 from Hoki.
Me, I rolled a natural 2, so that is an 11.
Okay, an 11 from Dr. Bonnydock. So as the two of you start to on Adrian and Hoki, Hoki, are you also on Adrian or are you running?
No, I'd be running. I don't
cool.
ride this thing.
Awesome. Hoki running parallel to Adrian. You start to enter the crowd again. And yeah, people seem to be in distress, right? You see a couple of people like talking to like, how does like security work here, Andrew? Like, is it just like guards would be posted about a conference?
I mean, at a place like this, I don't know that there'd be much security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just event organizers.
Yeah.
Then. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, like
this
crowds...
is not like I would imagine this isn't like a sanctioned thing. This is just just happens.
It's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of like a bring your own beer situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. There's people like shouting and like you hear snippets of conversation as you're running and you're using these as like breadcrumbs that you're following. Like, what? Did you see him? He didn't have a face. What's going on? I'm missing my brother. Did anyone see my brother? He was working the booth. Oh, gods. Please, can you find him? I don't see him anywhere. And people are starting to get like panicked. They're like, what? No faces. Have you heard? No faces? What? What are you talking about? As rumors are beginning to spread, panic is starting to get seeded. People aren't like screaming and running yet, but like it's starting to get there. Like a sense of unease is building. You can sort of like see the crowd like murmuring like all about as you're running and your hearts are pounding and Adrian's claws are just against the forest floor. And you reach the ritual stones and sort of like beyond the ritual stones, because both of you rolled so well on your investigation check, you see the back of a leather hood, right? Dr. Bonnydock, you recognize this leather hood from your vision. And whoever this person is, you can't see their face, but they're approaching a booth with someone there. And Dr. Bonnydock, roll 2d10 for me.
9, 8.
Okay. The person is a human man who's sort of like leaning against the booth. You can't see the hooded person's face because their hood's pulled over, but this human man has got like silvery hair, like it's very handsome, and he seems to be flirting a little with whoever this is, and like they're talking, right? But this person, you can see like from their body language, they seem kind of aggressive, almost like kind of like stern and tense. And they sort of have like two hands, gloved hands, like on like the booth, and this human man is talking, and this person leans in and in and in. And in that moment, the two of you get a chance to act. What did the two of you do?
I think the doc would immediately like shout out, "You there! Lean away! It's not safe!" And try to run in with Adrian to get closer. Like, get away from the halfling! Get away!
Okay, Hoki, what about you?
I will take out another pinch of powdered iron and reduce on the person who is leaning in.
Okay, so let's do...
I do have to be within 30 feet. I don't know if I'm that close or not.
You're getting there. You're starting to get there, right? As you're running. I think Dr. Bonnydock leaves you in the dust because I think Adrian's faster than you.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. So Adrian sort of pulls forward and lets out a warning growl, a warning chitter, as you call out, and this human man goes, "Huh? What? Are you talking to me?"
Yes, you! Get away! It's not safe!
Roll persuasion.
Okay. That is at least a 10. Let me see if I get it, if I'm proficient in this, but I don't think I am. That is a 10. I'm going to use my third flash of genius.
Okay, you have so many.
That 10 into a 15.
A 15, that is sufficient. He just goes, "There's something going on?" He doesn't seem to recognize that the hooded figure is the danger, but seems to like register that there is danger, so he staggers backward. And on that, the hooded figure starts to lunge toward him. And in that moment, Hoki, you're able to cast your spell. So how does it work?
yeah, kind of blow the powder out. And whereas before it had been close enough to just hit the Minotaur, this carries on the wind, and it carries magically on my breath, and hits the back of its head. And Constitution saving throw, DC 15.
Okay, what happens on a success, just in case?
On a success, half their size and a quarter of their weight, and
okay,
a lot of negative penalties to things.
Okay, what if they don't?
I'm sorry, on a fail. On a success,
right, yeah.
I don't believe anything happens on a success.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, that is actually a success,
Okay.
but I don't want it to feel like a waste. So I think what it means is this person doesn't get to attack, right? Maybe they're like sort of caught off guard by your spell, right? So describe to me what it looks like as your dust like hits them.
So the dust hits the back of the head, and it starts to take hold, and you see the creature begin to shrink a little bit, and then they kind of shiver and pop back up. But there's this probably like this kind of weird sound of like almost like a I almost think of like vacuum packing, like shrinking and expanding. And you can see that they're a little jarred in that moment from the potential reduction that just happened.
I love that. And as they pop back up, they whirl around and the hood falls off their head. And both of you see Dr. Littleman, right? Or at least their face. And their hair, at least the fringe of it. The rest of their hair, the hood falls back to reveal like horns coming out of their head, like a tiefling's horns, and like black hair, actually, that sort of like falls down like a waterfall, almost like down her back. It's very dissonant. It's sort of like someone just peeled off Dr. Littleman's face and like rafted it onto the front of someone else's body, of someone else's head. And Dr. Littleman's face contorts in like a very like unhalfling like rage at the two of you, and like their cloak sort of like opens up to reveal like leather armor. Like this person seems like dressed like a sellsword or a mercenary, like not an attendee, and like certainly like not a scientist. So in that moment, this person says, not in like Dr. Littleman's voice, like he's a man, right? It says in a woman's voice, a higher pitched, almost like, but a gravelly one. It says, "What do you think you're doing? Who are you?"
I am Dr. Lamond Bonnydock. I have come to help you. Are you from the Tundra Bluff Corporation?
Tundra Bluff?
Yes.
And she takes a step backward, and Dr. Littleman's face contorts and swirls and is replaced with someone else's face entirely. The human man from earlier. Hoki, you would recognize this person's face, right? But like the same expression is on this face, sort of like a aghast shock, almost like a little bit of fear, but most of all rage, right? And this person goes, Tundra Bluff, you're with Tundra Bluff?
I'm against Tundra Bluff. I'm against Tundra Bluff. I wish to stop them. I'm traveling around trying to help all of the escaped. I'm the one who freed you. I freed the experiments. I'm Dr. Lamond Bonnydock. I freed all of the experiments. Adrian here is one of them. Please, you don't need to hurt this individual. You don't need to hurt anyone else.
Hoki, as Dr. Bonnydock is like pleading with this person, you look like you want to do something or say something.
I'm listening and watching. I am slowly reaching into my coat and pulling out another vial with a green acidic looking liquid and just holding on to it. And
like just in case?
Just in case. I won't be ready to cast something, but I'm giving him a chance to talk.
Okay, so this person like looks from you, Dr. Bonnydock, to Hoki, says, he attacked me. Why are you? Why?
Okay,
why would you?
To be fair, you've been stealing people's faces.
They deserve it. They're doing experiments, injecting me with. And they seem like close to like a mental break here. Like they start tearing at their black hair.
The situation around these things are different. There's some volunteerism going on here.
But wait, what's your name? What's your name?
Hoki Mucreb.
No, not your name.
Oh, right.
I turn to. I thank you. I do know your name. Your name.
You're Dr. Bonnie. Doc, I know that name. You said you were the breach. You were at the breach.
I was the one who caused it. I wanted to free as many of you as possible because I knew that what the Tundra Bluff Corporation was doing was wrong.
They were sticking me with. They were injecting me with. And they let out like a pained scream. Like what you're saying is bringing up memories, right? It's like making like these painful memories come up, and they start to twitch, right? And they begin to grow.
Wait.
You say wait, right? But the DM says it's time to battle.
That's what my spell was trying to stop from happening. God dang it.
Oh no, wait. Is there something you would like to try to cast?
Oh no. Sorry, I'm making a joke about the reduced spell.
Oh, sure.
So.
Oh sure, yeah, totally. The back of her cloak actually splits open. Right? And something horrible happens. Her head drops to the ground. Doesn't fall off because her neck is elongated. So suddenly and so to such a degree that her head like hits the ground, right? And she like begins to slither. The head begins to like slither along the ground as the neck elongates. The clothes rip open, and sort of like rippling out of this person, 15 feet tall, up, and you see like this form beginning to expand. People are starting to scream at this point, right? As she like gets taller and taller, starts to like blot out the light a little bit and cast a shadow on both of you. And you see, like, the flesh begins to turn crimson, like, all the way down. Jagged spines start to jut out of this creature, now monster's back, like huge obsidian arrow tips, like the spines of a stegosaurus, right? And then, like slicking and slapping against the ground, a liquid tail sprouts from her back made of bubbling green poison. And you see like the grass where it touches begins to like scorch and peel up and wither and die. And shooting out from where her torso used to be, you see 3 sets of muscular limbs jutting out now from a long muscular body, ending in these large grabbing hands, like human hands, not claws. And at the end again of its head picks up this like long neck, almost like a brontosaurus, like dinosaur. The head swivels and a new face appears, that of a tiefling. Right, with like the long horns protruding, like long black hair, like a red skin, right? But her face, her expression is twisted in anguish, right? And tears like pour from her like kind of dead-looking eyes, and many more faces now because her cloak is completely gone, right? It's just a monster body. Stitched along its body are many more faces, like savaging its skin. Their expressions like frozen in varying portrayals of rage, confusion, fear, grief, shock, pain. And you see, you know, the halfling man with like the curls of bangs. You see the human man and everyone else whose faces that this person has stolen so far. And the face stealer rears onto its hind legs and emits a chorus of wailing screams and sobs from each of these faces stitched onto its body. Everyone starts screaming. And I need the 2 of you to roll initiative.
I lean over to Lamond as all this is happening. I go, it's not boring.
That's a 3 for the doc.
Oh no, a 3 for the doc. All right.
14 for Hoki.
Okay, 14 for Hoki. Adrian has the same as you, but right after, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Hoki, you go first.
Okay. So I will kind of look back and forth, be like, well, we tried talking to it. And I'll take that green vial that I had. I will pop the cork, throw it up in the air so that like the liquid comes streaming out. And as it streams out, it kind of almost like turns into this bow shape. And I will grab it and pull back and fire Melf's acid arrow at it.
Okay.
And an acidic arrow will just fly out at it.
Is that an attack?
It is an attack roll.
Go for it.
Ooh, that is a 12.
That is not going to hit, but roll damage anyway, and it will take a reaction.
Okay. 1.
In case the viewers missed it, this is one of the ways I homebrew combat in D&D.
That's going to be 9 points of acidic damage.
Okay, are you targeting any part of its body in particular?
Just going like straight like center mass, so right in the torso.
Okay, are you trying to hit a face?
I'm not trying to not hit a face. I think I'm just firing in its direction.
It sounds good. This acid, describe to me what it looks like as the acid splashes against its crimson flesh.
Yeah, I mean the arrow comes out. It's an acidic green arrow. As it hits, it kind of almost like just like collapses in and creates this burning spot.
Okay.
where the acid would burn away at something.
Okay, the acid starts to eat away at its flesh, right? And I think it's like close to where a face is stitched onto its body. And as the acid like burns it, this face stealer rears up and lets out a like a chorus of like unearthly screams from each of the faces. And the face that got splashed a little bit actually lets out a like a wail of pain. As it's hit. And actually this face, its eyes sort of are like swiveling wildly and they land on you, Hoki. And this face goes, no, please don't hurt me, please. You have to help me, please. And Hoki, I need you to make a wisdom save.
A wisdom saving throw. Is this a frightened effect?
It is not.
Okay, so then that is going to be a 5.
Okay, that is not quite sufficient. So what that means is, Hoki, you can't use your next action, bonus action, or reaction to attack or otherwise harm the face stealer.
Okay.
Because this thing is begging you for mercy, right? And something about it is like tugging at you, right? So Hoki, tell me, like, what about this situation, about its words, about its plaintive wail, is making you hesitate?
Yeah, there's like a moment of looking in recognition of they're still alive. Okay, sorry for the burn. We're gonna do what we can. I will turn to Lamond and be like, they're still alive. That's shocking, but fascinating too, really.
Yeah, and like on that, like I think another chorus of like unearthly like wails emit from all of the faces that all basically say like, help me, help us, it hurts so much, please, you have to help me. And the tiefling face is just screaming in rage. So Hoki, do you do anything else?
No, I will maybe move a little bit, so that I'm not like right next to the good doctor. I would like to maybe not give it the opportunity to hit us both with one thing. So I'll move a little to the left.
Okay, you sort of, you up your way a little bit to the left. And next up is going to be this thing, because I'm sorry, Dr. Bonnydock, but you rolled so low for initiative. So let's see, what is it going to do? What is fun here?
Utter horror right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Okay, so this thing was reared up onto its hind legs. It has like 3 sets of limbs, and it's on its like final limbs, and like all the remaining like 4 limbs slam down, and boom, 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 boom. It starts to pound and thrash and just destroying everything in its vicinity. Stalls, like its hands are like hammering down on like screaming people, and one of the hands like goes for you, and one of the other hands, because it's so big, also like tries to crash down onto you, Hoki. So I need both of you to make a dex save.
Oh boy.
I always get so sweaty when I GM. I've got these pit stains.
18.
Okay, 18 from Hoki?
Yes.
Definitely not going to save here. That's a 6.
Okay, that is a 6 from poor Dr. Bonnydock. Do you also roll for Adrian?
Yes, I will roll for Adrian.
Okay.
Adrian rolled a natural 13. Adrian at least gets a +1 to Dex. Let me see if they are proficient in dexterity saving throws. Yes, dexterity saving throws. They get a +5. So that is an 18.
Okay, perfect. So Adrian and Hoki both save, so you're both going to take half damage. But Dr. Bonnydock, you're going to take the full. Let's see. That's 14 points of bludgeoning damage and 5 points of poison damage for 19 total. So half of that is going to be, we round down, right? So 9? 9?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. 9 for Hoki and 9 for Adrian.
19 points of damage.
Yes.
I'm just so like shocked that just like.
Totally, yeah, and like these huge fists are like crashing down around you like God's wrath, right? And because you rolled kind of low, Dr. Bonnydock, I'm so sorry, but I also think I need you to make a strength saving throw for me.
Okay. That is a 6.
That is not quite sufficient. You are also knocked prone, and maybe off of Adrian if you were on Adrian. Yeah, and you like fall down into like a stall. Maybe you get knocked into a stall, right? Like prosthetic limbs like fall down and crash down around you. Okay, so this thing is also going to like after it's done pounding his fists down. 2 of its arms, the middle arms, like reach out and grab a person. 1 person in each hand, and the people start screaming. You know, they're like thrashing. They're like, no, what the hell? Please let me go. What the hell's going on?
god! And these arms like lift it to its head, and its head like swivels down, and you see like the tiefling mouth open, and like both of you feel like a magical wind whip up around it as it sucks the face off of one of these people and like sucks it into its body, and you see like the glowing nugget of its face like travel down its crimson throat and disappear inside its body, like dispersing almost like a mini fireball, and then like sprouting out from its back this woman's wailing face, and it drops the body, which just sort of slumps and falls onto the ground, and the man who's in the other hand goes, oh my god, and passes out. So now I need Dr. Bonnydock. I think it's your turn.
Okay, so here is my question. Has it been 10 minutes since I cast Detect Magic?
Yeah, I think it has.
Okay, then in that case, I'm not going to cast Detect Magic. I'm going to sort of pull myself up and say, now, Adrian, now! And sort of get the gun.
The musket.
Yeah. And it's like, time to take care of business, baby. And I'm going to cast Haste on myself.
Okay.
Which raises it. My speed is doubled. I get a +2 bonus to AC. I have advantage on dex saving throws, and I gain an additional action on each of my turns.
That's awesome. How long does it last?
It lasts for up to 1 minute, and it's a concentration spell.
So that's what, 10 rounds?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I do is I pull out my other, it's like, this is like a special bellows with like a huge sack of some like bubbling liquid in it that's like glowing, looks like nitrous, and I put it in my mouth and go, and it's basically like I feel myself like supercharged. I like put it away, like, oh, let's go. And I used half of my speed to stand up.
Get up,
but
yes.
I now my top speed is now 50. So I guess I have over
25 feet left.
Of movement left.
Yes.
I'm going to run back from the creature. I'm gonna use my full movement to run back away from the creature, telling. I believe I'm going to have to tell Adrian to do the same, because Adrian, I think Adrian, what is Adrian's range? Adrian's range is 5 feet. I'm going to have Adrian run back by me for now. And I'm going to run 35 feet away from this thing and take an attack roll with my musket.
Amazing.
Let's see here. That is a 27 to hit.
Okay, that will hit. That does indeed hit.
I'm aiming for the body. Like I'm aiming for the. In fact, actually, I'm aiming into the mouth. I'm aiming into the suck mouth. That just. That's what I'm aiming for.
All right. The huge, the big one on the neck, right? Okay.
Yes. And I'm going to use Arcane Jolt, which once per turn, when I hit a target with a magic weapon attack, I can or my Steel Defender hits a target, I can choose to deliver an extra 2d6 force damage, or restore 2d6 hit points to a creature or object within 30 feet of the target. I'm not within 30 feet of the target, so I'm just going to do 2d6 force damage to this individual. I'm not trying to kill them. I'm trying to knock them out, because I'm still hoping
Okay, so non-lethal.
To rehabilitate.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
That is 9 points of piercing damage from the musket, and an additional 6 points of force damage from Arcane Jolt.
So the total is 15?
And this is a magical weapon, I should mention.
Okay.
Yes. No, 14. Or yeah, 15.
Okay.
You're 100% right.
Okay, 15 total damage. All right, sounds good.
And it's magical damage, because my weapon is magical.
Awesome. So why don't you describe what it looks like as you fire this musket at its face?
I think I'm like motoring backwards, like my tiny little legs like on the ground, and I'm like calculating the angle that I need to raise my musket at, and I like slide to a stop, and I'm like, stop hurting these people. And at this point, my watch is going to like extend some little metal arms and they plug into the chamber, like they plug into the chamber of the rifle, and pump extra energy into this. As I fire, I think it like literally does make like it sounds like some sort of beam weapon that's like
Sure.
shooting like a photon,
Like a railgun.
yeah, straight into this thing's mouth, and it's like a glowing ammunition that's just into and I guess detonates inside with force.
Okay,
force.
yeah, you see the poof, it like goes, it's like Deadeye, right? It goes right into this tiefling's like wailing mouth, and it closes its mouth for a second, and you see like its neck bulge, just poof, like something detonates inside its neck. But the neck doesn't like explode outward. You don't kill it, right? But you do like injure it from inside, and it staggers like on its limbs, and like its body thrashes, and it falls over, and one of the tails like slams against one of the ritual stones nearby, and the stone cracks. But it doesn't fall because it's a big one. Think like Stonehenge a little bit. So is that the end of your turn?
Adrian, I think, is going to take the dodge action next.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what they're doing.
Okay.
Basically like powering up the legs, getting ready to try and dodge if necessary.
Sounds good. So is that the end of your / Adrian's turn?
Yes.
Okay, at the end of your / Adrian's turn, it's going to take a legendary action, and it is going to it is pissed off that you shot it in the mouth. So it's just going to let out all of its faces now like open wide and let out this like horrific, like rending, like sonic screech of rage. And I need both of you to make a Constitution saving throw.
It's gonna be a 19.
Nice.
I think it's going to be a 15 for me. Let me make sure. Yes, a 15.
What about for Adrian?
For Adrian, let me roll for Adrian. Adrian rolled a natural 14. Let me see what they get for Constitution saves. Saving throws is a 6. That's a dirty 20 for Adrian.
Oh, great. All three of you save. So all three of you are only going to take half damage. You're going to take half of 17, which is 8. Right? Okay. All of you take 8 points of psychic damage as this, like this scream just, it's like not even thunder. It's like it sticks in your brain, right? And it's like clawing its little needles like right into your cerebral flesh.
And I have to make a concentration check as well to maintain concentration on haste.
Yes, go for it.
Succeeds. I got a plus 7 to this. It's a 13.
Fantastic. Great. That is more than sufficient. Okay. So I believe that is the end of your turn. We go back to the top of the order, which is Hoki.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at all this happening and be like, "Oh boy, Doctor, tell the anteater to trust me."
Trust Hoki.
Okay.
Trust Hoki.
And I will another pinch of iron powder, and I'll blow it towards Adrian. But I'm casting enlarge.
Okay.
And since it is trusting me and willing, there is no save or anything. It just. So in that moment of kind of getting ready to dodge, Adrian just grows to twice his size. So he is doubled in all dimensions. He goes from medium. Would he be considered a medium or a large creature?
Medium, so he'd go to large.
Okay, so he goes to large in size. Advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws, and any damage it does deals an extra D4.
Awesome.
But
nice.
That specifically will help with grapples as well, and I will say out to him, try to be careful of the faces, and then I will just kind of maintain, so it is concentration, so I'll maintain concentration on this spell and just kind of strafe left a little bit more, and if there's a box or something to hide behind, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, there's tons of cover that you can hide behind.
I'll just
There's the stones.
A little place to
Right.
maybe not be right out in the open.
Okay. Yeah, you see like a big fallen crate that has like a bunch of like apples and like bananas like tumbled out from it, and you duck behind it.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's my turn.
Wonderful. Okay, let's say that's like half cover or something.
Sure.
That you've taken. That is your turn. It is now going to be this horrific creature's turn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is taking a potion an action or a bonus action in your games?
A bonus action if you're gonna drink one.
Then I will go ahead and use one of my 2 magical elixirs to take a healing potion.
Sounds good.
That's not much, but it's a little something. So, all right, great, thank you.
Great, perfect. Just out of curiosity, how much HP are the three of you at?
Adrian started this fight. I need to quickly calculate. Zoc's at 40. I'm gonna calculate how much Adrian has.
2d4 plus my intelligence. I'll let you know that in just a second. Oh, crap. That went wrong. 1, 2, and 2, 3. I'm at 37 out of 59.
Okay, 37. Sounds good.
Adrian has 52 HP. They got hit by they took 9 damage from the initial attack minus, and they also just took another 8 points of damage. So 52 minus 17, which I think is 35.
35. Okay. And what about the dock?
The dock's at 40.
Okay, sounds good. All right, cool. Good to know. Thank you. So it's this horrible creature's turn now. It sort of like you can see like its huge like lungs like heaving like bellows, and it's like its hands like the one that isn't holding the man like flattens onto the ground, and then it lifts the man to its face, its tiefling face, and opens its mouth, and the same thing happens, like a magical suction, and the man is sort of like, oh, he gasps awake and he goes, no, this is the part I wanted to be unconscious for, and then his face gets like sucked into its mouth, and drops the body, and the body rolls like a rag doll across the ground. Yeah, and this thing turns, and you see now another face arises like on its like hind leg, and you all can sense it. It's about to do something. It's like pawing at the ground. It seems to be like revving itself up, and its huge tail, like made of like liquid acid, suddenly raises, and it turns, and it like uses itself almost as a spinning top as it just braces like. It slices its way downtown, spinning fast, acid flaying everywhere.
It's rolling around at the speed of sound.
Yeah, right. So I need both of you to make a dex save, as well as Adrian, because this thing is like going in like a straight line.
Do I get any bonuses from half cover?
Yeah, what is the usual bonus that it gets for AC?
I mean, this isn't an AC-based thing, so...
But you are still behind cover, so I feel like you'd get something.
You normally get like a +2.
Oh, a +2 bonus to AC and dexterity saving throws. Okay, great.
Yes, so take that.
So that is going to be a 20.
Okay, perfect.
Adrian, I think, got like a 24, but the doc just rolled 2 3s, which with his dex means there's no point even using Flash of Genius. There's not. That's gonna be because he gets a +1 to this. So that's 4.
Do you want to use inspiration? Do you have inspiration?
I do have inspiration. Yeah, I have 3 use of inspiration. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
I'm going to use an inspiration. That upped it to a 6, so that's a 7.
You still have 2 uses of inspiration, right?
I'll use a second inspiration. This is the last inspiration I'm using up. This is insane.
Just burning through stuff.
Third 3. This is insane. Clearly,
you were
I'm
meant to take this damage.
Yes, you were meant to take it. All right.
I deserve this damage.
All right.
I just opened my eye.
I love it. So Adrian and Hoki are going to take half damage. Dr. Bonnydock, you're going to take full damage, and that is going to be 21 points. Wait, no, 26 points of poison damage.
No.
Because it's pure acid just coming around.
13 to the others?
Yes, 13 to the others.
Let me see if Adrian has any resistances.
Poison to poison?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So that's yes. Adrian is immune to poison.
Immune, perfect. So Adrian just weathers. He's just like standing there.
The doc is like, I have to roll another concentration check.
Did your mustache survive?
13. Yeah, the stash always survives. The stash abides. That's the key to this. So, I easily make it. It's a 19. So I maintain concentration.
You maintain haste.
I will roll a concentration check on natural 20 for concentration on enlarge.
Awesome. Question for the two of you. Do either of you, your magical gun, do either of you have like metal things on you?
Oh, hell
yes.
All sorts of
things. Magical,
specifically like armor or weapons.
The armor is magic. The weapons are magic. My gadgets, not magic, metal. The armor is metal. The weapons are metal. Like gadgets are metal.
Yeah, I have a dagger and a hammer, but other than that, everything else would be magical.
Okay, as you're like covered in this horrible poison slop, any metal weapon or armor that you have that is non-magical is now going to take a -2 as it starts to get corroded.
Okay, so the weapon's okay, but everything else.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So -2 to the armor class if it's armor, and -2 to like attack rolls and damage rolls if it's weapon.
Get my normal armor class.
I'm doing mage armor, so I'm good there.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay. Awesome. So it sort of like stops, like spinning around almost like a tornado, like of poison, like in the middle, like equidistant between you, Hoki, and you, Dr. Bonnydock. So maybe like 15 feet away from both of you, and sort of like huffing and like recovering from this like huge move that I just did. So now it is going to be Dr. Bonnydock's turn.
Okay. The doc is going to like just like hands shaking, going to aim his gun, and he's just gonna go all out and start pumping magical lead into this being.
Okay.
So he's gonna attack twice.
Okay.
First one's a natural 19. It's a 28 to hit.
Okay.
And we're gonna go ahead and use arcane jolt on the first one. So that's gonna be. It's going to be 17 from the gun, plus another 6 points. So that's 23 first shot. And I'm aiming for the faces now. This is what I'm trying. I'm trying to aim for the faces.
On the body?
Yeah, so I on the first face to see what happens.
Okay.
And then I'm going to fire again. That's another natural 19. So that's another 28 to hit. That's another 9 points of damage from the second shot. And then with haste, I'm going to make a third shot. That is an 18 to hit. Does that 18 hit?
That does hit. 18 does hit.
Okay. Third shot is 16 points of damage.
Okay.
So the dog is just... into this and aiming for a face each time, just trying to see what happens to the faces.
I love it.
And then the doc is going to use his bonus action to tell Adrian to go in and attack while the doc runs away 20 how the creature is 15 feet away from me right now?
15 feet away from you.
I'm gonna run another 30 feet away from the creature. So I'm just, in fact, actually, no. I'm going to run, because right now I'm 15 feet, I'm going to run 35 feet away from the creature.
Okay. You're getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I'm getting out of range, trying to support Adrian however I can.
Okay.
How's the creature looking after that barrage? Was that
It looks a little battered. You see like buckshots have cratered like on the entire like right side of its body, right? It's pretty damn battered on that side of the body. And, like the faces are still wailing. Like one's like missing half its face, another's like missing an eye, like from the buckshots, right? But they're still wailing and wailing and wailing this ghostly, ghastly chorus. They seem to be kept alive as long as this thing's alive, right?
I turn towards Dr. Bonnydock. I'm like, I told you, they're still not the faces.
Okay, I'll aim for the body next time.
Adrian still has an attack.
Okay.
So Adrian's gonna run up. Their anteater mouth is going to open, like, to reveal like this long line of like serrated, what's the word? Chainsaw teeth, like.
Yes.
That are like fully, they're like coursing with this arcane power, and it's going to clamp onto the body of the creature using force empowered rend.
Okay.
And that is a natural 17 plus my spell attack modifier, which is a 9. So that's a 26 to hit.
Excellent.
Okay, that does hit. So roll damage.
Okay, and it gets to add a d4 to this?
Okay.
Yes, any damage is a d4.
Okay, so that is going to be 9 plus 1. So that's going to be 10 points of force damage.
Okay. Excellent. Sounds good. So what does it look like as are you like sawing into this thing?
Yeah, it's just trying to like cut through, tear apart, like try to even see if we could separate it from some of the faces.
Sure, okay.
And get to like the core. I know you're in there. They
let out a like horrifying noise as Adrian starts to saw into its body. I need Adrian to make does Adrian want to like clamp on, I'm assuming, and like continue sawing?
Is like the motive here? It's just a one attack. It's not. It's
not clamped on.
No.
Okay.
That's just for flavor. It's like, and then like pops back.
Is that the end of Adrian's turn?
Yes.
Okay, at the end of Adrian's turn, it's going to take another legendary action, and it's going to raise one of its claws, well, hands actually, and flatten, like try to flatten Adrian, who's right there.
no.
So I'm going to need Adrian to make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
Not strength.
It's a natural 20.
Natural 20!
Yeah.
Plus 5. So
Oh
that's
my god, that's awesome. Yes, I love it. So with a natural 20, you don't even take half damage. You just don't take any damage at all. So describe to me what it looks like as Adrian like rolls out of the way.
I think at Adrian's size, Adrian doesn't have to roll. I think Adrian just like fully stops the thing from coming down.
Oh,
it's
I
like
love
a
it.
King Kong versus
Yes.
Godzilla moment.
Yes.
Where the creature's like, "Argh!" and you can hear like the gears in Adrian's arms, Adrian's anteater arms. Just,
Adrian
Yeah,
is
like-
Mechagodzilla.
yeah, and
Yes!
Adrian
I love it.
is driven back slightly and then like redirects the force straight down to the ground. So it's just and they're
Yeah, and it
face to face.
craters the ground like entirely.
Amazing.
I love it. What an awesome moment. Cool. So that is the end of its legendary action. I believe we're back to Hoki.
Okay. So I'm kind of looking at everything going on and not feeling good about hurting these faces. But what I will do is I'll pull a little diamond out of my pocket. It's actually out of one of my expandable pockets. I'll grab my my pocket and it like opens up like an accordion style. And there's like all these different spell components inside, and I'll just kind of like, there's one I need, and that, and I'll take a diamond and grab it, say a magic word, it crushes under my hand, and then turns into a chromatic orb, and I will cast chromatic
Ooh.
orb at it.
Awesome.
At 3rd level.
Okay.
So that is going to be, oh no.
Do you have
But I have
inspiration?
inspiration. I have
Yes.
inspiration. Okay, maybe that is a 17 to hit.
That will just hit. That will hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to take 5d8, and I get to choose the type of damage.
Yes, you do.
And I'm going to go with cold damage.
Interesting. Okay.
That's going to be a total of 21 points of cold damage.
Wow,
and
that is a lot.
I am aiming for its head. I'm aiming away from all the faces on its body.
Okay. So describe to me what it looks like.
So this tiny chromatic orb, after I crush the diamond, it kind of reforms itself into this little piece of sparkling magical energy, and I just kind of give it a whisper, and it flies up towards its face like a tiny bullet. It's going to impact the head, and then similar to how I had Ray of Frost and like kind of the crystals grew on me, like from that spot, all these crystals are going to grow out around it and even like restrict its movement a little bit for a moment as it tries to roar. And it just kind of like freezes in place for a moment and deals some nice frostbite to it.
That's a lot of damage on that one spot. I love it. Yeah, you see its head sort of like fly to the side, and like its neck sort of like it's like whiplash as like this like bolt of like frost hits it, and and it can't quite get like a roar out as you like freeze like half of its jaw shut. Awesome.
All right.
Is that your turn, Hoki?
That will be my turn. Yes, I will hold there and I'll continue concentration on enlarge for Adrian.
Okay. Now it's going to be this thing's turn. It is not doing so hot. It has taken like a huge ice spike to the side of the face, and like Adrian's cut into it, and it's got like its entire side of its body is battered and bruised. And you see it just sort of like, and a chorus of voices spill out of all of its mouths, addressing both of you. And it says, "Why are you hurting me? Let me go. Let me go."
You were stealing faces.
You can't. We are happy to help you. All we want to do is help you. We want you to help you stop hurting people. But
Well, we want you
can
to stop.
stop hurting people, and maybe together we can stop the Tundra Bluff Corporation. I don't want to hurt you.
But why should I not hurt people if they hurt me?
These people didn't hurt you. The ones who hurt you were the Tundra Bluff Corporation. That's who I'm trying to stop. Join with me, and we together we can stop the Tundra Bluff Corporation. You, I, and Adrian.
And Dr. Bonnydock, make a charisma saving throw.
Okay. Is this a magical effect?
I guess, yeah. I guess,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I am a gnome, have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic. So let's hope. That is a 19.
Okay.
Nice.
And a 17, so 19.
Okay, total?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not going to take any damage from this. But as it sort of like lets out this like roar, similar to that connection you'd formed with it earlier, it's like a psychic spike is driven into your head. And actually faces start filtering like past your eyes. Faces of people you've loved. Faces of people who have loved you. I think it's your mother, is the first face that comes across. What does she look like?
My mother is, she is slightly shorter than me, gnome woman. She has kind of like frizzy hair, not like in the sense that it stands up, but instead of like my hair is curly, her hair is kind of halfway in between my hair and straight. So, she mostly puts it up in a bun, and she wears like a lot of skirts, and she wears definitely big puffy sleeve shirts. And I think a lot of times, especially because I come from like a more Victorian era, it's not just a bun. She does like a full-on Victorian updo, but like mixed with like her hair texture, and what's the word? There's a Gibson girl, so after Victorian, but like mixed with like a frizzy hair style, and she has a very kindly face, very friendly face. She's the kind of person. She's where the doc gets his charisma from. It's from his mom.
Okay.
Very, very friendly person.
Okay, that's the first face that you see her like laughing and smiling, as she's like maybe like walking through, your hope, the town that you grew up in, Goodbody. Like she's just walking through the towns, like waving to neighbors as you're like looking up at her as when you're younger, and then you look up at the other face that's next to you, and it's your father. So why don't you describe what your father looks like to me?
He looks a lot like the doc does, except I think he's just got a stronger jawline. He's slightly taller, and he's visibly balding, whereas the doc still has like a head of curly hair. And he's also a bit more brawny, but still both parents are very intelligent in their own ways. The dad is much more book smart, and the mom is much more people smart. Oh, by the way, my dad's name is DeMarcus, and my mother's name is Jenny. That's and my dad also wears glasses. So
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe your dad has like a pile of books, that he's like holding under his arm, and like you're like holding your hand with his other, and your mom's holding your hand with the other, and you're looking up at them and smiling. It's a very pure, happy memory. And then the psychic spike like shatters it, like literally like glass, and you see like your parents' faces splintered across like the fractures of your memory as your memory and the memory of this face stealer begin to meld, and suddenly you are like thrown on like a medical operating table, and you're like thrashing around and screaming, and your parents are also next to you and they're screaming too. You can see like Jenny and DeMarcus like thrashing, and they're begging, they're like, please just spare Lamond, please just take us, please spare our child, please no. But like they're put under, but as these huge needles like plunge into them, and a needle plunges into you as well, and you scream, and the psychic spike like punctures through your consciousness again. And when you wake up again, you're in this like dark, dingy cell, and you're shaking and you're shivering. As you look down on your arms, your father's face is stitched onto your left forearm, and your mother's face is stitched onto your right forearm, and you start to scream, and then you're pulled out of this like fractured, broken, stitched together memory. And you realize that this is the face stealers like sharing their memory with you, sharing their pain with you. But because you saved on that charisma saving throw, you're not going to take any damage from that memory sharing. But you do get the information. And she just lets out a, they did that to me. They made me. I don't want to be a monster. I don't want to do this. I don't want to hurt people, but that's all I know anymore. That's all I can do.
Is that the end of the creature's turn?
Yes.
Okay, so upon seeing this horror that this individual had to I guess endure, the doc, with tears in his eyes, is going to walk up to the creature, set down his gun, and say, please, you should never have had to go through that, but you must understand,
I want to help you and all others like you. There's another way. You don't have to hunt people in this way. Please. And I put my hand on Adrian, and I'm going to say, please, Adrian, would you allow this individual to see your memories of how I helped you and how we have helped others, so that maybe they can understand. I beg you. And I guess would Adrian be willing to do that?
If you're asking them, they trust you, so I think they would.
I will say, please don't hurt Adrian. Just look into their mind, and you'll be able to see the truth of what I'm saying. We don't want to hurt you. We want to hurt those who have hurt you. And I know what you're thinking, but these people were not part of the Tundra Bluff Corporation. They don't even understand the Tundra Bluff Corporation. They're from another plane of existence.
Okay. And I think with that, the face stealer lets out a... And what does Adrian look like or do to sort of offer up their memories?
I think Adrian would... there's two ways that I'm thinking. One is to kind of reopen the face and expose like a little bit of view of themselves, the real body inside. The other one is to sort of extend a tongue out and sort of make like sort of like plugging into the creature, just sort of like, it could even be both. Like
I like both. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see, and then like a little tongue comes out and plugs into the creature.
What does Adrian's
like
real body look
armor
like?
pulling back.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've never decided this. So I think Adrian's real body is like a face and a head that has become grossly enlarged and seems to be full of some kind of, it looks like it's soft. And like the eyes have also become grossly enlarged. And the body, you can't even see their body really, because their body is so small. Like it's like their body has shrunk and everything that was in their body has gone into the head. So it's like a tiny little body kind of on the back of a gigantic head. And I think the head, you can see there's these giant pulsing veins on the sides of the head that like are constantly emitting this power that's being held at bay by the encasing. But you can tell that like Adrian, whatever power that has surged into them has like gone past their skull's ability and their own ability to hold it in. And so it's like you can see like flare-ups, like solar flares on the sun, on the surface of the sun, except it's like veins, like coming out of the veins, you see rising arcs of power that... And I think like if you look into their pupils, you see it's almost like looking into the photos of the sun that we have, where it's like plasma circling inside of their pupils.
Face stealer goes, oh, that's gross. No, they're like a psychic link is formed, and there's like a moment of silence where I don't know if y'all know what the memory is as it's shared. I think that's between the face stealer and Adrian. But as his tongue snakes out, and there's like a moment of silence, we see like pulses of like power, magical like nuggets like traveling from the tongue like into the face stealer's like body, and there's the psychic link is formed, and then like. In real life, it feels like just a few moments, but like the tongue like detaches and the face stealer goes, you, brother, you were also taken. And I think as like Adrian's like face closes up, Adrian just lets out a kind of like a slow, like low, like sad, like agreement noise. And the face stealer begins to shrink. Right, it's like it's not fully, but it's starting to deflate. It's starting to shrink down a little bit more. As its neck begins to shrink down, its head turns and its eyes, this tiefling woman's eyes, lock onto you, Hoki. And she says, "You are you? Have you also? Are you also?"
I have no idea what's going on right now.
Are you? Is his heart, is he good?
I mean, I haven't done a medical examination, but it seems to be pumping pretty well. If you stop stealing faces, I'm not going to throw another one of these things at you.
Doctor, is he good?
The doc's going to turn to Hoki. The doc, I think, is leaning towards a yes, but Hoki's priorities are so divorced from Dr. Lamond Bonnydock that I think at this point he's like, I'm honestly not sure with this guy. So I'd like to roll an insight check on Hoki to see.
Go for it.
And I'm going to use my 4th flash of genius to take this up to, what do I get for insight? I think I get a +1 to insight. I get a +2 to insight. That is a 9.
Okay.
Okay, Hoki. With a 9, I think, why don't you share with us one truth about Hoki that Dr. Bonnydock glimpses?
There is a bit of sadness on his face that you've not seen before up until this moment.
I'm going to turn back to the creature and I'm going to say, I don't know him well, but what I can tell you is, seeing you in this moment, I believe, has touched him deeply, and he looks sad at what has become of you. I turn back to Hoki, looking at Hoki, like,
Yeah.
go with it. Yeah. I turn back and I say, I was told to find him by a good man, and since finding him, he has been, I'll tell you this, he is definitely good fun, and I think that it's impossible for a person to truly be good fun unless they themselves are good.
Hoki, would you like to contribute to this with words of your own as the face stealer pauses in the shrinking?
Kind of just
you know?
contemplating the word salad that just came out, and I'm just kind of an alchemist, not a philosopher. Look, I don't want to hurt you, but you can't be taking faces. That's one of the 3 things that you can't do.
What are the other 2?
I can't think off the top of my head. This is a very unnerving situation, but it's definitely a top 10 thing that you can't take faces.
Would you say that one of the other 2 is experimenting on people against their will and transforming them?
That's
into
absolutely on the
abominations?
top 10 list.
Yes, perhaps even higher than taking faces?
Sure, if you were ranking them.
Yes, there we go. It's at least higher than taking faces, and we already said that taking faces was in the top 3. So clearly, Hoki believes that what happened to you is in the top 2 bad things you can't do.
And they continue shrinking down until I think the driven annoyed by what you're saying, as leather armor sprouts back up, and swaddles them down, and they shrink until they're 10 feet tall, and then down until they're 6 feet, and they're 5 something, and they fall to their knees, and they're you see a woman now. The tiefling face stays, right? But no longer long neck, with crimson skin and long one long jagged black horn, and the other one has been snapped off. She's just sunk to her knees, staring at her hands, and then she slowly raises her head and looks around at all the destruction and all of the havoc that she's wreaked, and the dripping globules of poison from her poison attack that are still dripping off of the canvas of various tents. And she says, I used to be a person once, and then they turned me into a monster. Tell me, halfling. And she turns to you, Hoki. You say I can't go around taking people's faces. Obviously, that's common sense. But would you tell a praying mantis not to kill?
No, but a praying mantis doesn't know right from wrong.
To you?
It's a good point. I'm not a philosopher, but and I'm not terribly upset that you crashed the convention either. Most everybody here is really stuck up and not even half that good at what they do. But I think that this guy, and I kind of nudge over to Bonnydock, I think he can probably show you something better to do than stealing faces. Something that'll make you feel better.
Can you fix me?
I pick up. Is the horn like lying on the ground? The one that was snapped off?
Can we say that it has been snapped off? Like this is like just like part of her like yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, does the tiefling show any signs of damage from the fight that just occurred?
Her body is swaddled up in like the leather armor. It's like covering her. She's got like a cloak on, right? So you could ask to see if she's injured, but like just based on her face, she seems undamaged. But she seems like the way she's moving makes it seem like she's taken some hits.
Then I think what the doc is going to do is going to he's going to reach out his hand and sort of like just offer his hand and say, "If you'll let me, I will do my level best." And like he's going to prepare kind of he's going to like reach over and adjust his watch slightly, and I think the watch is going to start emitting sort of like a humming pulse that sounds calming, as he's basically preparing to cast Cure Wounds if in fact the tiefling will take his hand.
She does. She considers your hand for a moment and then raises like a quivering fingers and then takes it. And she like allows you to like help like pull her to a stand as she's sort of like clutching the side of her body that like you blasted with like the gun. She's like clutching it. So how does Cure Wounds work?
Cure Wounds, I think in this case it's like a vibration. It's like a healing vibration that sort of helps like any blood in like around wounds to the clot and helps stimulate the cells to begin the healing process. And she regains 8 points of HP.
Okay.
Yeah, as those vibrations like wash over her as she touches my hand.
Those good vibrations.
Yeah, the good vibration. Exactly. She. Thank you. My name is Cassandra.
It's nice to meet you, Cassandra. I'm Dr. Lamond Bonnydock. This is my best friend, Adrian, and I'll let Mr. Mucreb introduce himself.
I'm Hoki. I'm not a doctor.
You didn't strike me as a doctory type. I can't believe I did all this. I was so mad when I heard about this conference, and it just brought back memories.
Well, again, don't be worried about the property damage because that part is pretty great. But can you get the faces back to people?
I don't know. I don't know how any of this works, really. I don't think I kill them when I take their faces, but I killed a part of them, I think.
And you probably killed them when you shot them in the face. I did that too, though, so...
Can the doc roll, like, an Arcana check or something? Maybe even using, like, Detect Magic to try and augment it, like he, like, turns on the... to try and see, basically see if there's any way that he might be able to advise in the short term on how Cassandra might be able to return the faces.
Return the faces. Yeah, sure. Why don't you roll Arcana with advantage, given the fact that you're looking through your glasses?
Okay. Okay. I am going to use my final Flash of Genius to make that 18 into a 23. In fact, actually, no, I'm going to keep my Flash of Genius, use my inspiration. No. Flash of Genius, 18, 23. 18, 23.
Okay.
I don't need to roll a third die.
Okay.
Get a plus
Sounds
9.
good.
It's
Okay,
fine.
great, perfect.
23 is good.
23.
It's fine.
Yeah, you sort of like bubbling all around inside her like fireflies, or like various little motes of magic that you assume are like the faces / the souls of people that she's like absorbed.
Upon seeing the fireflies, I say, well, you would not believe your eyes.
Stop it! I give you negative inspiration for your next roll.
No.
I'd like
Okay.
to make myself believe.
So my answer is you're going to be like, fuck you, GM. But my answer is you can try a variety of things to return the faces. Honestly, it's up to you. Pretty much anything could conceivably work. You could try to make it a surgical procedure. You could try to use your magic or like a spell that you have to like bring it out. I would just ask for rolls, checks, but it depends on your imagination and like how you think would be the best way to. But there's a wide variety of tactics you could deploy here.
So where are the little glowing things at this moment?
Inside her,
Like
swirling inside her.
in her chest and
Yeah,
everything. Okay.
chest region. Yep.
Gotcha.
I'm going to relay all of this information to Hoki and basically say, I've got some ideas of things I might be able to do magically, but unfortunately, I've expended too much energy to do them today. In the meantime, I'm open to any ideas you might have.
Well, I think the biggest trick is going to be getting them up and out. From there, I think I can get them back to the people. I'm going to... Oh, gosh, let me try this. Let's see here. No, that's not going to work. I will just kind of go over to her and kind of kneel down. Actually, I'll sit like crisscross style across from her. Like, okay. And pull out a empty glass vial. And just be like, so here's the thing. You've got fireflies in your chest, and I need to get them in this little bottle. And I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but I'm going to try something, and it's probably going to feel funny, but do you trust me?
I don't really trust anyone.
Can
if
you
you
hold
think-
still without convulsing
Yes.
while something magically penetrates your chest and tries to pull them out?
It's happened a lot more to me than you'd think, so yes.
Okay.
I was going to immediately start sanitizing the area.
I'm going to see if you'll rule this can do anything. I'm going to cast Mage Hand
Okay.
with the idea that I'm going to attempt to phase it and use it to just coax the things up out of her throat and out her mouth, and just kind of let her right into the jar.
That is really cool. I'll give you advantage on your check.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask for either you choose a sleight of hand or Arcana check.
Oh, come on. It's an Arcana check. And I will use my last flash of genius. 15 to make that a 22.
That is sufficient. So Hoki, describe to me what it looks like as you...
So the mage hand comes out and kind of comes towards her, and there's resistance, right? Because it's kind of not met. And then I just kind of, it's okay. Take a deep breath and kind of like Neo into Trinity. It just kind of phases in, and you see it just start to gently, and you can see my hand miming it, right? Like, just, okay, up, up. And eventually, like, through the skin, you see the warm glows, and then 1, 2, 3, however many just start to pop out into the jar, and I catch them.
Yeah, they're literally like glowing marbles, like souls, right? And you pop this as your mage hand travels through like her intestines, her stomach, like her lungs, her ribs, her sternum. Like she lets out a like it's clearly very uncomfortable and maybe even painful.
Weird, I know.
And she like spits out the first soul and the next and the next, and you catch like a total of like maybe like a dozen. Maybe like a dozen and a half, like in the jar. And do you screw the lid on as they start to like float up?
Yeah, no, I'll gently kind of cap it with a cork.
Okay. And as the mage hand leaves her body, she just falls forward and she's like covered in sweat and she's like panting and panting. Because that was clearly not a pleasant sensation at all. But yeah, Hoki, you have successfully nabbed these faces / souls, and they're inside this jar.
Can I give them a look? Just give it a little gentle shake, see what they do.
They rattle around a little bit, and some of them are like floating. They're sort of like fireflies. Some of them have stuck to the bottom. Some of them are like floating to the top.
The question is, which one goes with which one?
That is the question.
With detect magic, am I able to see any distinguishing like features between the individual little soul fireflies?
Sure. Keeping your Arcana check from earlier, which was very successful, as you look at these little soul fireflies, you can sort of tell. You don't see like little faces on them, unfortunately. That would be very useful, though.
Name tags?
Right, name tags floating. You get the sense like several of them are floating, almost like they're drawn towards something. So you get the sense that like if it's they're drawn to their body, right? So like you can sort of use this and like open it up, and if you're near a body, the correct one will probably float out and go into the correct body.
But it could be interesting to see what happens if we, kind of
Soul swap, yeah, that would be
Definitely not. Let's 100% not do that. I'm putting both of my feet down. So is Adrian.
his feet are big.
yeah.
Okay,
let's use these as a sort of compass to guide us to the individuals to which these souls belong. Very well done, Cassandra.
I'd also like to cast Mending on Adrian a couple times just to bring
Or like gong, gong, gong.
yeah,
yeah.
just sort of like like it's the basically just like any dents or anything that's happened, scraping off like any poison or whatever, just to help out heal Adrian.
Totally, yeah. You help like peel like pop the dents back out and like scrape the poison off. And this feels like a good time for us to do like a montage, of like y'all going through the conference, finding the bodies without faces, putting the faces back on the faces.
Little acoustic guitar music.
Yeah, as the two of you. So in terms of the people scattered, right? The people ran away from the site of the battle, but they're still milling about in the forest, right? The attendees are still there. And like once like the noise of battle has died down, a lot of people have started like filtering back in. They're like, where'd the monster go? Where is it? And they don't seem to realize that Cassandra was the face stealer, which is good because you can go a little bit incognito now. So why don't the two of you like paint me a word picture as you're like going about like the conference that's like filtering back into the space, finding the bodies.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll kind of like split up into two different jars, the beads. Be like, all right, here's half for you, and I'll take the other half. I'll start by going out into the woods to the guy that was tied up.
Yep, with alarm. Mm-hmm.
Yep, with alarm, and starting and seeing if I suppose there's a little element of chance that maybe I didn't bring his soul with him. But I'll start there, and if it's not in my jar, I'll untie him and kind of lead him by the hand back.
Okay.
This direction.
Serendipitously, it is. Hey, how that works out. You unscrew the jar and like one like floats up
50-50
and out. Yeah, exactly. One orb floats up and out, and like boom, like it's like drawn to like the exact center of its head, and like as the light spills out, like sort of fans out, almost like a bead of water dropping into the surface of a lake, and like a ripple effect. Like its face like materializes in like a ripple effect, like back on. And this guy who's tied to the tree suddenly goes,
and I'll immediately get down in his level, and I'll pull a little mirror out from one of the side pockets on my thing, and I'll pull it up. Is that your face?
Yeah. Why am I tied to a?
Oh.
What?
Just get up and walk back.
Wait, can you let me go?
Oh,
I
right.
immediately
untie him.
I help untie.
Okay.
While basically explaining,
Look, you were attacked by an individual who has since fled to the scene, and don't worry, we managed to save you. You're all right now.
I don't remember anything. I was just manning the booth and. Okay.
It was a horrific ordeal, let me tell you. Here, why don't we take you back to the main group, Mr. Littleman?
Oh, okay. Wow, the sun's setting. Did we miss the speech?
Oh no, the speech hasn't happened yet.
Oh, okay, good. I was really looking forward to that. Well, thanks for helping me out, I guess.
I turned to Hoki. I'm like,
Yeah.
And is this the one that's like the new owner of the old?
Yeah.
thing?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. So I'll be like, and of course, you know, compensation, whatever you think is fair.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm so sorry. I'm new to this whole being in charge of the research team thing.
No, it's totally okay. I'll send a list over later.
What? How about
minor trifles?
Okay, sure, of course. Well, here's my address, and here's 10 gold. Is that fair?
Well,
Is that too little? 50? 50?
Oh, okay, that's a start. I'll send my
Okay.
list over.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you so much.
And if you want
I'm
anything,
in your debt.
and I turn over to Lamond, if you want anything, I'll add it to the list for you.
No, it's really fine. I'm not comfortable with this. It's very well.
Okay.
This is all you.
Great, wonderful. And then we zip from like person to person as like the two of y'all like bing, 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 like put their faces like back on their faces, and they all seem to have the same story. Like they don't remember anything. They were just like minding their own business, and then they just woke up here. They don't seem to have remembered like getting their faces sucked off, or like being a part of the horrible mosaic of faces on the face stealer's body, or even like coming to again. It's just sort of like a gap in their memory from start to end, which is convenient for the two of you.
Can we have brought, because I was hoping that we could bring Cassandra around
Yes.
with us. Kind of,
Yes.
I want to make sure that Cassandra, basically have Adrian keeping an eye on Cassandra as much as possible to avoid, any bad things befalling either of them.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So maybe like Adrian and Cassandra like hang back as you return the faces, to the people, and Cassandra has like a rather like guilty look on her face as she's like leaned up against Adrian. The two of them seem to be like forming a bond. Like you come back to the two of them and you see Cassandra like petting the side of like Adrian's like steel body and like seems to be murmuring lowly in Adrian's like anteater ear. It's like flickering a little. And I think by the end of this, like the last person has been accounted for, right? You have no more souls left, and correct souls are in the correct bodies, which is also good.
Yeah.
Damn it, Hoki, damn it.
Hoping, but didn't happen.
We really need to talk about this list of things that you can't do, because I think putting the wrong souls in the wrong body should really be added on if it's not already on the list.
Spirit of experimentation.
Oh boy, we need to have a long talk later.
Wonderful. So I think, where are the four of you at this point reconvening once the last soul has been deposited?
I think I would ask Hoki,
Do you think it would be a good idea if we reconvene a bit away from the conference? I'm not sure if it would be right for Cassandra to be here when the Tundra Bluff individual appears.
No, that makes sense. If you want, I've got a little place, pseudo place, about a mile out, that we could go spend the night at if we needed to.
I want to ask Cassandra what she wants, because I know that she's had a rough day.
Yeah.
I also know that she was originally dead set on getting back at everyone who had harmed her, and presumably including the speaker of this conference.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't want to put Cassandra in a position where she's like, "You're holding me back from my mission."
Yeah.
Part of it.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. You ask her, and she says, No, I want to hear the speech. I won't attack. I need to hear it. I need to know what they're up to.
All right. We'll be by your side the whole time.
Okay. If I start to destabilize, you can just knock me out.
Hopefully that won't be necessary.
Gotcha.
I put my hand on Cassandra's back, and as I do that, another hum emits from my watch, and it's going. Basically, I'm going to cast heroism.
Okay.
On Cassandra to basically a willing creature that I touch is imbued with bravery. It means she's immune to being frightened and gains temporary hit points equal to my spell casting ability modifier at the start of each of her turns. So basically she just gains 9 temp HP for the next, like, I'm going to cast it on her during the speech, basically.
Okay.
To try and bolster her spirits.
Sounds good. Yeah, why don't I take inspiration for that? That's great. Great move. Cassandra just like straightens up a little as you do that, and she like looks at you with like a look of gratitude and nods. And at this point, I think the rest of the attendees are like, well, the monster's gone. I guess carry on business as usual at the conference. And they start, I mean, like, what else are you going to do? They've trekked all the way out here to, like, Azcrack nowhere. So they start, like, you see people, like, start parking themselves, like, sitting down, like, around the ritual stones, where, like, the gates, like, the crowd control, like, little fencing has been set up around it. And you still see the big crack in one of the stones from where, like, Cassandra, like, hit it. But as, where are you positioning yourselves? At, like, the back of the crowd? Or, like, in the middle, the front?
I think I'd recommend we'd be at the back.
Yeah. Okay. Avoid anyone seeing anyone. Like, we don't want to
If she starts to turn into something, we're going to want to get her away fast. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So to sort of, I think as the sun goes down, right, and the moon comes out. Andrew, how many moons are there? Is there a moon in this world?
There is a single moon in Alçon.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Like the moon rises like into the night sky, right? And like as the moon like rises through the trees, like moonlight hits the ritual stones in like a perfect circle. And like several event organizers like are like holding hands around the ritual stone and they're like chanting, you know, in like an ancient dwarvish language, right? That they get with
lean
like,
over to Lamond, like all of that is unnecessary. It's just for show.
Real pageantry to this.
It's ridiculous. They could save so much money.
And the runes on the stones begin to like light up like boom, like with silvery moonlight as like the moonlight like filters all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, and in the center like a plate of light like swirls up, and a figure begins to form. But the figure is almost transparent, like a hologram. So she's not like fully materialized, but it's like seems to be a way to like speak across planes, right? And the figure materializes in like boom in a band of light and it sparkles off like static electricity, revealing.
Can we say that Dr. Lamond has bought popcorn?
Yes.
Everybody, and we're all wearing like 3D glasses watching this. It's like
yes, absolutely. Yeah, and Cassandra is like quivering with like rage. Maybe you're just like holding her back like a little as she's like sitting there.
Try the buttered. It's better.
So calorically dense. She's like chomping on the butter. I love the glasses, Andrew. Yeah, exactly. Andrew, why do you have a point of inspiration for your glasses? I love it, for your goggles. And a person appears. An elven woman, with dark skin, right? But her hair is like snow white, and it's sort of like it sits very weirdly on her head. Almost feels like a wig, and it's like cut in like a bob, almost like Sia, you know, like like a very severe bob. And she wears this like iridescent robe, you know, that seems to shimmer different colors as the moonlight hits it, with a collar as high and severe as her cheekbones. And her hands are like clasped like behind her back, and her back is like as rigid as a tent pole. And like after like a silence falls, you know, and like one of the organizers like speaks up and says, "Is this Dr. Erebus of the Tundra Bluff Corporation?" And Dr. Bonnydock, you would recognize her. She is one of the head researchers at Tundra Bluff Corps. You might have even like served directly underneath her, like worked like under her on like one of the divisions. And you do not know a lot about her except for the fact that she is kind of scary.
Yes, I'm deeply unsettled already.
Yes. And he goes, I know we only have as long as the moon stays in that position, which is to say not a lot of time, but thank you so much for being here. The 103rd Annual Artificers Conference. Do you have any words for how we might pursue science? And she sort of stands there, like her brown eyes looking out over the crowd that are like, you see like notebooks are out, people are like ready to write down like whatever it is that she has to say. And she says, there are only two kinds of people in the world. There are those who innovate and those who fall behind. Our job as inventors is to push the bounds of science, no matter the cost. And all of you, like, there's like a pause and then, like murmuring as like people start like writing this down.
People are like really taking her words to heart here.
Is there a way? I don't have dispel magic anymore. I'm sitting here like this is not good. I can't. These are not good words.
Yeah, hold on. I'll reach in, I'll grab another little gear, and I'll speak a little word to it. I'm infusing it, and I just throw it out into the middle of the crowd.
Okay.
And when it hits, you just hear a voice shout out from there in the middle. So I'm infusing it with a sound. That's suspicious.
Okay, you shout out, that's suspicious, and the crowd starts murmuring like, what? Who said that? A heckler? You know, people are like murmuring like, well, what? And you're also like looking around. And this woman, Dr. Erebus, her eyes like snap. And she makes direct eye contact with you, Hoki, in the audience. And she speaks to address the crowd, but it's like she's talking to you. And she says, the only thing suspicious is that a heckler would not show his face.
Can the doc be like slide like all three?
You're like,
just
totally
like sliding out of the frame.
Yeah, for sure. I think the crowd also murmurs like, well, who was that? Did y'all hear that? Hoki, do you respond, or are you just gonna keep eating your popcorn?
I'm looking her in the eye. I'm not sliding anywhere.
Okay.
I'm just eating my popcorn.
Okay. She says, good, evil, law, chaos. These societal constructs all fall to the ground in the face of innovation. If you take nothing from this event, take that. Those who stand in your way, crush them.
And now I will shout out without any magical aid and say, well, we've heard the opposite of the right speech. That was entertaining. When's the real speaker coming on?
I think people are like, what? Like murmuring, and like looking at you, you know? And Dr. Bonnydock, you see Dr. Erebus like raise like an eyebrow, and you know that is like, she's getting a little ticked off. Like that's like her tell, you know, that she's like getting a little pissed.
I'm gonna turn to Cassandra and to Adrian and say, well, is there a way? Because these are crystals, right? They're using to summon
stones. Yeah,
stones that they're using.
Yes.
Where are the stones in relation to where we are?
Because you're at the very back of the crowd, right? Mm-hmm. And there's sort of like a circular crowd, like an amphitheater, like around the stones. Probably like 40 feet, I would say 40, 50.
Okay. The doc is like, these ideas are truly unacceptable. Mm-hmm. I would like to cast. I can't cast that. Third level. I would like to cast. I'm not even gonna cast anything. You know what? I'm taking the gun out. I'm just straight taking the gun out. I'm gonna shoot one of the stones because I'm like, this is unacceptable. I've had enough of this. If need be, we can escape from this. I'm just gonna start blasting at that stone.
So, I think I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. It's a stone. It can't move. So why don't you just roll damage just to see how badly you splinter it?
Okay, I'm gonna attack twice. I'm gonna use the action to attack twice.
Jesus. Okay, sounds good.
First one's 9. Second one is 15, and I'm gonna use my arcane jolt to, so 9 plus 15 plus 2d6, which is 6, 4. So 9 plus 15 plus 10 damage, which I believe is going to be 34 damage.
Okay, yeah.
That I'm just.
I think you blast the top off of one of the stones, like, and the chunk goes flying, into the crowd. People like, they scatter away from like the chunk, and people like fawn, my baby, as they like dive to the side.
That thing is
and you
loud.
see the form. You see the form of this like holograph, like this projection, like flicker, and like she starts to destabilize, right? Like as like one of the stones is like seriously like
chunk like taken out. But like the organizers are like, oh, what? No, wait, we want to hear more. They start like chanting in Dwarvish some more like effortlessly, but she's like with a lot of effort, uselessly. But she's starting to destabilize, right? Like another hit on that stone could probably like cause the link to end prematurely. In response, Dr. Erebus speaks again, and she laughs. Violence is always the first answer from those with no ideas. And at that, I think, yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to stand up at this point because I've had enough of this. Like to stand up on my little seat and be like,
the ideas that you are spreading are ideas that incite violence against people who do not deserve it. And therefore, I am deplatforming you, you cretin.
it's like the worst word that the doc has ever said.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll
stand there, mustache puffed out.
Okay.
And Hoki is just continuing to eat popcorn, but I'm walking forward.
Okay. Toward the stones.
Towards her.
Okay.
Towards her. I'm just like sauntering almost up in her direction.
Okay. Are you going to say anything, Hoki, as you get close?
I'll let him shout his thing, and then I'll get closer and I'll be like, innovation is our job. But why innovate if there's nothing to take care of? If there's nothing left to love, to nurture? Why make something, and I'll kind of pull out some little doodad that floats and flies above my hand with a little zippity thing. Why make something beautiful if not to be appreciated by someone else? Why make something useful if not to help another person? At any cost? No. Doctor, use your boomstick.
I'm gonna aim my gun again and turn to Cassandra. I told you he was good. And fire again at the same stone that I'd been blasting before.
To like sever the link. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the last thing she says before the stone explodes and it disconnects is weak words from a weak, and then like the stone explodes and like it's like people. And like the link is severed. And I think the organizers are like blown back. They're not like hurt, but they're blown back by the blast. And people are like, they start like, ah, like people like shout and like murmur. And like there's like fierce discussion, like in the audience. Like they seem like split down the middle. Like they're like talking like, what? Who are you? And like the crowd begins to like get up and they start to mob both of you. They start to mob you, Hoki. They start to mob you, Dr. Bonnydock, like demanding answers.
That's pretty normal.
As this is happening, I would like to grab Hoki, grab Cassandra, and grab Adrian and say, I think it's best if we vacate the premises, at least temporarily, and press a button on my belt. It's going to shoot a rope straight up into the air, hooks onto something invisible, and all four of us are drawn up into a private demiplane.
Rope trick?
Oh my god.
I love that spell so much. Thank you for using that.
I love it. Awesome. As all four of you land in this private demiplane, let's do an epilogue. Right? As the four of you are like up there and you can see like the crowd being like, where'd they go? Where are they? Just saw a rope.
Right before we disappear, can I drop one of my last infusions and just skunk them one last time?
Yes, you can. Yeah, the people disperse. They go, oh, horrible. Who did that? No. And they're like all like coughing and like gagging as they disperse the area. And you watch, the four of you watch from above in your private demiplane as the conference scatters. And I like, you see like the moon finally like starts to move across the sky, like the last of the twilight light, like fading away from the shattered remnants of the ritual stones. So let's move into a quick epilogue to sort of like tie up to like see where the next leg of our journey is with Dr. Bonnydock and Hoki and Cassandra and of course Adrian. So Dr. Bonnydock and Hoki, why don't the two of you tell me, do you part ways? And if so, where and how?
I think the doc while in the rope trick would turn to Hoki and say,
Hoki, though we may not be particularly similar people, I I have gained great respect for you this day. I would like to formally ask if you would be willing to, and as long as it pleases you, join me in my quest to stop the spread of ideas like this and to help those like Cassandra who need it most.
Do I get to be the official team hat maker?
Yes.
I'm in.
I pat Adrian on the back and say, "I'm sorry. I had to make a concession." And Adrian just like puts away a hat that they made for the group. Like,
we have to get. There's a give and take. It's a negotiation tactic.
Great. Awesome. So let's cut to the four of you, including Cassandra, I think. Because maybe like in the rope trick room, like as sort of like a button on the end of that scene, she turns to you, Dr. Bonnydock, and says, "Well, I still have these." And she like rolls up her sleeves and you see like two faces stitched onto her forearms of like, you recognize, like, it's not your parents' faces, but it's her parents' faces, right? You recognize whatever thing you did earlier. And she like gestures to you, Hoki, wasn't able to, well, get them out. And I honestly don't really remember even where their bodies are anymore. So Dr. Bonnydock, if you could help me, I would be most grateful.
I will make it my life's mission to help you reunite with your parents in their rightful bodies.
I kind of take her arms and look at them a little bit. Huh. And then I'll actually just like sit down and like start pulling things out of my coat and like start like, it's almost like a tiny little miniature alchemy kit and just like start experimenting. Like I've just like ideas like, okay, can we make something that takes care of this? You know, and I'll just spend my time doing that.
Yeah, I think the doc would also immediately start to examine the stitching and start to see, like, is there arcane work that was done to stitch these faces? Is this physical stitching? Or is this like a symbolic thing? How do we draw? Is there a way to maybe undo the stitching and draw it out? Like that kind of stuff.
It's gonna need it. It's gonna need a solution. Everything needs a solution.
Absolutely. There's no problem without a solution. You absolutely
no,
right.
Like this type of solution. Like
we'll get there. We'll get there.
And maybe like on that, like maybe each of you like has a different arm like under inspection. Yeah, she's just
Sarah's
like sitting there like,
come on, guys.
Yeah, totally awesome. Great. We sort of end that scene, and then I think we're gonna end the session on maybe like an image of the four of you like on the road.
Yeah.
Right. So Andrew, why don't you tell us like what road would make sense here for us to be journeying down?
They would probably be, well, depending on where they needed to be taken. The capital is about as far away as anything. But Hoki knows of a little place out in Stanlow, which is over to the coast to the west. That might be a good spot to regroup for a little bit. He's had some dealings in that town before.
Fantastic. I love it. So maybe like the final image is the four of y'all on the tip of a bluff overlooking the sea. Right, as like the sun is setting, and like, you know, you've changed up your outfits a little bit. You've been traveling for a couple of weeks together now. At this point, you're following a lead. You're here to like regroup and recover. So as like Cassandra has like her legs like dangling over the cliff, and she's like eating a fish stick, while Adrian is like nosing it, like kind of wants it. So Dr. Bonnydock and Hoki, the two of you have a private moment together at the edge of this bluff. What do the two of you say to each other to wrap up this campaign?
Just fair warning, they don't really like me here either.
It's okay. Look, the people that we're traveling and trying to help, I think, aren't liked by anyone. So it seems like you'll be in good company.
It's a good point. It never really bothered me that much anyway. If someone doesn't like you, you just go somewhere else until they don't like you there, and then you go somewhere else. And it's a big country.
Yes, and a big multiverse, if my experiences are anything to go by.
I'm not sold on that whole thing. That doesn't, I don't know about that. Well, you've been talking about that a lot, but I don't know.
Well, let me explain to you again what I'm talking about. So I was in a place called the Shadowfell, and like immediately started explaining.
Yeah, and maybe like the camera like pulls out as you like talking like your words.
I'm like,
spit
no,
out.
I've heard that before. I understand, but the thing is that you just like,
Can Adrian start playing the song
Yes.
that I taught them, which is a classic song from the town of Goodbody that was written?
Oh, no.
It was written by a group called Owl Convent.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
As the camera zooms out, Adrian starts singing Firefly.
oh my gosh. I'm not licensing Fireflies for this show. I can't
You'll
afford
just have
that.
to imagine it.
Cassandra punches Adrian and like breaks the boombox as the camera pulls out, and like we end on like that beautiful sunset as the four of you are limbed by like the golden rays of the setting sun overlooking the sea.